Have you heard the good news? Hey, it's Harris from the License to Watch podcast. Do you enjoy this free content but yearn for something less free? If so, I've got good news for you. License to Watch can also cost you money. For just $1 a month, you can have access to double the License to Watch content through our Patreon account. Listen to Colin, Matt, and I discuss the merits of Texas truck stop brothels, our favorite puns, and a bunch of movies that range in quality from amazing to Twister. It's hilarious, informative, and only $12 a year. So what are you waiting for, you cheap son of a bitch? Go to patreon.com/L2W and sign up today. Seriously. I need the money. Seriously. End transmission.
There were talks of doing a 6th film in the series even before the release of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Christopher McQuarrie quickly signed on to write, produce, and direct the next movie, making him the first director to come back for another movie in the series' history. New additions to the cast are Vanessa Kirby as the White Widow, Angela Bassett as Erica Sloan, director of the CIA, and Henry Cavill as August Walker. Cavill had his own conflict going on during the filming of this movie, as he was also obligated to film reshoots for the upcoming Justice League movie, in which he portrays Superman. He was contractually obligated to keep his mustache for this film, which left the producers of Justice League in a position of having to digitally remove it, resulting in a very strange and digitally affected looking version of the Man of Steel. During the filming of a stunt involving Ethan Hunt jumping rooftops, Tom Cruise injured his right foot, causing the film to halt production for a reported 9 weeks. Another big set piece of the film involved Tom Cruise jumping out of a plane for a halo jump sequence. Due to specific lighting, the crew was only able to shoot this scene during a 3-minute window each day, which meant that Cruise had to jump out of the plane once a day for over 100 days. This film was very well received, with many critics calling it the best of the series. It went on to make $791 million at the worldwide box office, making it the highest grossing Mission Impossible film and Tom Cruise's biggest hit of all time. Off the success of this film, McQuarrie, Cruise, and many other cast and crew members agreed to come back to film a 7th and 8th movie in the series back to back. This franchise has come a long way, gone through many changes and varying degrees of success and popularity since the first film's release in 1996. But it seems that Mission Impossible will be a part of the conversation for a long time to come. Join me, Matt McGregor, along with my co-hosts Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we dissect the most recent entry in the Mission Impossible series of films, 2018's Mission Impossible Fallout. This is a show about franchises, movie franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
Welcome to the show. This is License to Watch. We are joined today by a good friend of the pod, Chandler Smidt. What's going on?
Howdy. Thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem. Thank you for joining us. We are talking about Mission Impossible Fallout, the last movie of the series. We did it, guys.
Whee!
We completed our first movie series. Chandler, you get to bear witness.
Just when you thought it was impossible.
It went by so fast.
I just realized that. Oh my god. Oh, I'm like the season finale.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of pressure.
An honor. Oh, or pressure. Got it. Cool.
Yeah, we still haven't. Yeah, that's funny because we still haven't finished we haven't done our season finale of Bond, which took us 2 years, and we still aren't finished with that one.
Wow, you're right.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any, maybe one, so I'll be on that too if you want. If I do a good job at this.
We'll have you back in a year when that movie comes out. But also, there's 2 more Mission Impossible movies that are currently in the works, so we'll have to come back and revisit those movies when they release too.
Yeah,
that'll be
so.
Fun.
We're never really.
It's never.
We're never
over.
really done. Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about Matt. What is it? What was in your intro that we just listened to? Because you didn't record that later. You recorded it before. Some interesting facts about Fallout. I don't want to repeat anything.
Oh God. Well, I probably said something.
I feel like I've been listening to the back episodes, and it's always like you give this elaborate intro that like lays out all the specifics, and then we immediately start talking about the stuff that you just talked about in the intro. Like, who wrote this? What's the story behind this movie?
No, I think it's nice though, because it's almost like Matt. I thought it was Matt like listened to the podcast and was like, let me just streamline it, and then you'll see how we got there, kind of a thing.
Right. It's not about how you. It's not about the ending. It's about how you get there, the journey.
I really like
the illusion
the intro.
that this is carefully planned.
Yeah, I really like the intro. My only note would be that he sounds slightly more sultry when he does the intro.
Oh, we're definitely getting his best takes and his radio voice, his radio announcer voice.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but sex sells.
He's like, you're listening to Matt McGregor, and this is.
Yeah, for when I eventually sell this show to
Impossible.
NPR, I have to be able to fit in.
Yeah, so you can go right from Fresh Air to License to Watch.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, so this one, I mean, we're going out with a bang here. This movie's pretty solid. It's like sort of the culmination of every one of these movies all rolled up into a big stinky ball of.
You know, I was going to say, like, I was thinking just before we started, I was thinking that this is the first time when this movie came out, and I probably saw almost all of these in theaters. I'm pretty sure I saw the first one in theaters. So, like, I've been watching Mission Impossible movies forever, and this was the first time that when the movie came out, other people were talking about it, and it wasn't just me and, like, a couple of friends who were big fans of this franchise. It was like a normal thing that like everyone sort of knew about and was popular, had like a mass appeal. Not that the it had been a blockbuster for a while, but this was the first time that it was like ubiquitous. Wherever I went, people were like, "Oh, did you see Fallout? It's so good."
Yeah, it kind of broke through the zeitgeist and wasn't just like a action movie for action movie people. It was sort of like, what did you say? Like popular, pop culture kind of breakthrough of a movie, and only because it's really well done, and it's like the action scenes. A lot of them were shot, or the end sequence was shot in IMAX. Did you see it in IMAX?
No.
Did either of you guys, or did
I hate that gimmicky bullshit, but
I don't know if I saw it in IMAX, but this is the first Mission Impossible movie that I've seen in theaters. So it's so funny that you say that, and I wonder why that is. Is it because of like? My first thought was like because of John Wick, all of a sudden like an action movie that was like balls to the walls like that became super, super popular, but it's not like Mission Impossible wasn't doing that before. So
I can tell you what happened. All the action movie producer people, they got together and they picked one of like the tall buildings, one of the really tall buildings, and they set up one of those brainwave manipulator antennas that shoots things that manipulates your brainwaves out into the public, and that creates higher demand.
Colin, are you pioneering a new bit here? Is this like long tortured puns weren't enough? Now we're gonna have long tortured conspiracy theories.
This is his action movie. This is the opening scene of his action movie. Oh no, this is actually The Incredibles 2. Did you just watch that movie?
Colin is the Ving Rhames of our IMF team.
Yeah, we keep him around and we're not sure why.
Yeah, he's the old stable that won't
for
die.
The lulz.
I actually think that
Ving Rhames is
the
great.
reason that this sort of caught on a little more might have been that the critics they were divided on the first one. They hated the second one, except for a couple, and they didn't really like the third one. And then Ghost Protocol and Rogue Nation were like the first ones that were kind of, more widely critically, sort of acknowledged as decent movies. It's like finally Mission Impossible, after years of doing almost the same thing, finally broke them down and they were like, we give up. It's great. But this was like the first one that I remember being like a must see. Like there was just buzz, not just from the critics, but from people too. But this is the first one that everyone was like, oh yeah, you'll love it. Like, trust me, even if you don't like these movies, this one will. And I don't know if that's true. I don't think it's like remarkably that much better than the last couple were, but I think that was the sort of the image that got out there. Maybe that was just good P&A.
You know, it was an excellent trailer. I remember that because I was watching the movie and I was like, that's in the trailer. That's in the trailer. Love that. And I don't know if this is true because I think I've only seen 5 and 6 and I only watched 5. Again, I may have seen that. I'm not sure because it connects to this one. But Fallout is so emotional. And like, I feel like action movies aren't typically like that. I mean, they will and but again, like John Wick is actually super emotional. Like, his wife is dead and his dog is killed. And it's terrible. And then this movie, even more so than 5. And again, I don't know about the other movies, but it's like the entire movie is like emotion. Like he saved Ving because he wanted to save his team, even though he lost the package or whatever. And like that's the entire movie is like emotion. So I don't know if that's part of it.
Yeah,
that really did it for me.
You're like crying and over there.
I'm like,
no, you're right. That's a
my
good
roommate
point,
Nicole is like, what the fuck?
This one is a little more. This one has a lot more of those sort of, emotional sacrifices and that kind of thing than some of the ones in the past have. In fact, we were even talking earlier about how they kind of had to bring in new plot lines for some of the minor characters in some of the previous movies because there wasn't enough you could do with Tom Cruise's character because he was kind of the same world-beating badass in every movie at some point, that they were having to like find their emotions in some of the minor characters like Brandt and whatever the one that Paula Patton and stuff like that, which never really worked as well. So I think this is better. That as much as I hated when the James Bond movies made it personal about his personal life and his personal story or whatever, this one I think actually benefits from that in a lot of interesting ways.
That's different though. Like when you're going to see a James Bond movie, you're expecting like a certain thing, a formula that's tried and true, and like you don't care about his personal life. So when they start
his upbringing,
when they start adding those elements, you're like, hey, this isn't what I paid for. I want to see him in clown makeup.
Shut up and play the hits.
Yeah.
No.
And this one really doesn't have that sort of entrenched, pattern. Although, if you look at the last 3 movies, it certainly is becoming more of a pattern of how they unfold narratively.
Well, what's cool about this series is that it's still finding its footing. It's only just now becoming like a formulaic thing that we know to expect in the next movie. And it took them 6 movies to really nail that down. Like 5 maybe was the one that kind of hit its stride, and 6 just like what I was going to say earlier about why this movie achieved such acclaim is because Rogue Nation was incredible. That was the one that blew people away, and maybe not everyone came out to see it, but critics loved it, and so much so that everyone, the trailer came out for 6, and everyone was like, "Hey, we got to see this one." And then there's buzz about the stunts now because Tom Cruise has become more of like a daredevil, and it's like, "Oh, we got to go see it to see what he did or whatever." And then,
so you're saying it's a little more like the in the first 2, how the second one was a much bigger hit because everyone loved the first one, and the third one, even though it's a better movie than the second one, wasn't as big of a hit because there was like a little bit of backlash because the second one wasn't as good. So you're always as good as your last. Your next movie is only going to be as successful as your last movie was good.
Right, except when this one came out, it got actually higher critical scores than Rogue Nation. So people were sort of like coming out to like, I can't believe this. I have to see it to believe it, that this one is better than Rogue Nation. And
and don't forget that
this one is longer.
It is
Right,
longer.
Yeah. If you measure it by if you measure it by more quantity than quality. Well, and it's interesting too because this is like we always talk about. We measure movies' success based on their box office. A lot of times we'll look at that and be like, "Oh, this is a bigger hit than Rogue Nation or whatever," but we don't really think about the lifespan of a movie after it hits theaters and how I don't know that Mission Impossible 2 sold as many DVDs as the first one did, even though it was a bigger theatrical hit. Did it actually end up becoming more in the zeitgeist and more like a part of the culture? I don't think so, because it was kind of like the secret was out by the time it moved on to those secondary, watching it on TV. Like, how many people saw Rogue Nation on cable or whatever and were like, holy shit, I wish I had seen this in the theater. And then when Fallout comes out, they're like, yeah, we got to see that.
Yeah, well, they also had the added benefit of like Fallout only came out like 2 years after Rogue Nation, whereas like
They were the closest two together. Right?
yeah, in the beginning, these movies were like 6 or 7 years apart every time they came out. So the audience was a different age, you know.
I think part of what's going on is we saw in Rogue Nation that they were like trying to establish what this is as a franchise, not as a sequel to these other movies, but what is this sort of overarching umbrella of this Mission Impossible thing. And then when they got to this movie, I think what they said is, you know, we did that, but this is a franchise that features sort of a franchise character, and we need to round him out and get more involved with him in this one. And that's why it's more, you know, emotional and personal with his character, I think.
Yeah, what do you guys think of the choice to bring back his wife character, Julia, from Mission Impossible 3? So, Chandler, have you seen Mission Impossible 3?
No.
So
I was like, wife? What the hell?
Right. So in the third one, he has a wife. He's sort of like quit the spy business and he wants to settle down, but he's brought back in. And then his wife gets kidnapped and he has to sort of save her at the end. And
Classic.
yeah. And then in the fourth one, they sort of like erased her and now he's back. But then she does pop up at the end of that movie in a cameo. So it's sort of telling the audience that, you know, he's watching her from afar, but he can't be with her because it's too dangerous. It's too much of a risk for her to be involved with him. And then in the fifth movie, she's not mentioned at all, I don't think, right? And
no.
And then she's back
I don't
in
think
this
so.
one. But they sort of do a cool thing in this, I think. What do you guys think?
Well, they give Ving Rhames a lot of lines that are supposed to explain that to you if you're an audience.
Right. Yeah, because he's explaining it to Ilsa, who is one of the characters that never knew the wife because she's only one movie old. Yeah, I really like that she gave her a proper send off. It's yeah, it's something that the Bond girls never get. This they make this great connection with the super spy, and then in the next movie, it's like they never existed. And I was kind of worried that that's what they'd done with her because they completely didn't mention her in Rogue Nation, after at least giving a little hat tip to her in Ghost Protocol. And I like that they found a way to close the book on her, but do it in like a good way. They didn't make her like part of his revenge plot. Like, oh no, they killed his estranged wife and now he's got to get revenge, or, you know, they didn't make her a cheap. Yeah, they gave her a happy ending, and sort of resolved that whole plot line that's sort of been festering since Mission Impossible 3. And also, always good to see Michelle Monaghan. Colin, how can you say that she's not a good actress? She nails that last scene.
I never said she wasn't good.
That was
Matt
me.
said she wasn't good. I said she looks like this girl I used to know, and every time I see her, all I can think is that she looks like that girl.
And how bad an actress that girl was.
Mm-hmm.
She looks
Actually,
just
she's
like
a
this girl
fine
that's a
actress.
bad actress.
She that girl did do acting. I can
She
show
did
you a short film that I've seen. I think if I
Throw
find the
up
link
a picture of her on the Instagram.
Yeah,
on
let's
the
see her.
Instagram. That
Let's
seems
judge
like
her.
Okay, I'll look it up while we talk about some other stuff, and I'll show you over the Zoom.
The happiest ending they could have given Julia was that now she's married to the kid,
Wes Bentley?
the kid who films everything from American Beauty.
Yeah, that creep.
I audibly, like, I screamed. He came on screen. I was like, oh my God, because I forgot that he was in the movie, and I was so happy. He honestly, this doesn't sound bad, but like, I think all of his dialogue was the best writing in the movie, because it was like this nerdy doctor guy that was clearly threatened. This man has some history with his wife, but he's like just talking just to be like, anyway, I was like on track to have a heart attack at 55, and she blah blah, and it was like, shut the fuck up, dude. But it was so good because it was Wes Bentley, and I'm like, Tom Cruise comes up with a fucking black turtleneck and a black leather jacket. I'm like, you're not a doctor. He knows he's not a doctor.
Yeah. He's
And
like,
I
oh,
am
so you're the
like-
guy who used to fuck my wife. Got it.
Yeah, he's like sweating. He's like, anyway, let me put my arm around you so
Yeah,
he
you look
knows
like
that
you can
we're
kick the
together.
crap out of me, and I'm a really nice guy, so I'm going to pretend like this is totally cool. It is not.
Julia,
I'm
she
not
like
either.
leaves the room to go join Tom Cruise, and she looks at her husband, and he just turns and looks at her and gives her that look of like, just go, you bitch.
It would be funny if in the background he's like peeking over the windowsill. Like,
Oh my God,
just,
yes.
and then they turn around and see him, and he's like hides again. It's like
I
no,
wanna
it's
see
cool.
his spin-off.
I'm totally not threatened.
The
I want to
next
see him as
I
chief
find-
of surgery.
I find that actor weird looking, and it creeps me out.
No, handsome.
He is.
Is
he's
that what that
definitely-
is?
That's handsome.
Listen, he skews female. I think I have found, and he
Okay,
is.
this is who I was talking about. Sorry.
bring it
Oh
closer.
yeah, that definitely looks
Where's the
like a
camera
blurry.
Just brown hair.
That looks like a blurry
And-
color.
I know.
And I think I see
is
something.
Text that to us right now.
Okay,
Yeah, or
alright.
learn how to share your screen. What the hell's going on? It's like we live in
The
1990
dark ages.
Oy vey.
whatever. I don't know.
What is an screen? Screen. What is it?
Anyways, I do think like Wes Bentley is. I'm not going to shit on him. I don't think he's a bad actor, but he's not an actor that can like elevate material. Like if you give him crappy, lame doctor dialogue of like he's a boring nice guy, he's gonna play it pretty boring and pretty nice. And
Perfect.
but yeah, but it's nice that you got this like face recognition in this movie. They cast a guy who people know, so at least they're like, oh hey, that guy, you know. Even if the guys are like, I don't know why my wife thinks he's so much more handsome than I do.
Are his eyebrows sentient? Like, do they have their own awareness besides his awareness of
You know
himself
what?
being
Maybe
alive?
he's one of those people that has I
Living
heard that
eyebrows?
some people with Tourette's, like they have like these facial tics, so maybe he has Tourette's of the eyebrows only. And
It's just
that's my
there's
only
something
guess.
about the thickness of the eyebrow hair as well.
Yeah, no, they actually
perhaps
have their own.
If you were to touch him on his eyebrow, your hand would get like sucked into the void, and you could lose it, and maybe
Yeah.
you could get.
They've got their whole, his.
I'm
eyebrows
afraid
have
of his
their whole
eyebrows.
Own life. They've got their own Instagram page. They actually play golf with Peter Gallagher's eyebrows.
Oh,
That would be one hell of a golf game.
eyebrows.
And they
of
said the perfect
Instagram.
game has already been played.
Yeah, there's a lot of eyebrows going on in American Beauty. Because Peter Gallagher's in that too, isn't he?
You're right. He is.
Oh my God.
That's where they met. That's where their eyebrows met.
Wait, he's not the guy that is fucking.
He's the
Kevin
real estate king.
Spacey's-
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my God.
Complete circle. Let's just talk about American Beauty.
The circle of eyebrows.
You know what I will say? I will say that Christopher is it McQuarrie or McQuarrie?
Macquarie.
McQuarrie.
He wrote
Mayor
my
Query?
favorite movie of all time.
The Way of the Gun.
Valkyrie.
Sure. The Usual Suspects, which has Kevin Spacey in it, which I'm mad at
This
Kevin
is just-
Spacey because he
just
ruined
all
everything.
connected.
But
Yeah.
I love that movie. Oh, it's so good.
We got to figure out exactly
Suspect.
when Kevin Spacey.
So this is the girl that Colin texted us. Do
I
we
see
think
the
that she-
resemblance. I see
yeah.
it a little bit.
I see the brown
They
hair.
look,
yeah.
they look like
Maybe
the same
before
to
she
me.
got work done.
Yeah.
Well, they're also like not the same age.
and not nearly as talented as Michelle Monaghan.
Oh,
I
That
can
we
tell just
know
by the
of.
picture. I can tell by the picture already.
the picture's a screenshot from the short film.
She's got doe eyes.
Yeah.
So let's
Yeah.
talk more about the movie that we're supposed to be talking about.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
American
back to
Beauty.
American Beauty has not aged well. Weird. So we've got like, do you want to talk about like some of the details of this film? We've obviously got Christopher McQuarrie back as the only director to ever return for a second Mission Impossible movie, and he'll be
Happy
doing
for
2
him.
more.
And yeah,
I have a
right?
question.
Good for him.
I have a question for Harris, who probably knows. What
is it on
happened to? Yes. What happened to Paula Wagner? Is she still involved with these?
I don't know, because I think it was after Mission Impossible 3, or maybe after Ghost Protocol, that Paramount decided they were sick of splitting things with Cruise Wagner, so they kind of cut them out of the. Yeah, they just said like, listen, you can keep on being a producer, but your production company isn't going to be involved with these anymore because it's their it's Paramount's property, so they can cut in whoever they want. And I don't know if Cruise Wagner is still a thing.
It's not. No, they parted
not?
ways. They're not a partnership anymore.
Right. Okay.
I don't know
Are they
why.
amicable? We don't know that. We don't know that, right?
We don't know.
Are they still friends? Okay. We don't know.
Yeah, are they still friends in real life? Are they still Zooming during quarantine?
This matters to me. Yes, this matters to me. I'm sorry for really derailing our whole conversation.
Digress it.
We also have. Oh no, it was a good question.
Wait, let's
We
let
also
Harris
have
continue with the part of the show that is him recapping what I say in the intro.
Well, we also have a new DP. Well, it's a chance for you all to comment on and for us to discuss some of the things that you gloss over in the intro.
Sure.
But does anybody have anything to say about Rob Hardy?
Who's he, the DP?
Yes.
I think this movie looks
he's-
beautiful, but it looks very Dark Knight. Don't you guys think it kind of looks like a Christopher Nolan movie?
I was amazed. It looked a
little
little. I was amazed at the amount of lens flare. I was like, oh, getting JJ flashbacks
JJ.
and lens flare all over the place in this one. Also, he is probably the least experienced DP they've had on any of these things. He hasn't done a lot. He's definitely not done anything on this scale. His biggest films before this were Ex Machina and Annihilation.
Oh, those both look really good.
Oh, those are gorgeous.
Yeah, so I think he was.
I really like. So this is what I really like about the movie. The entire, both sequences that take place in Paris, all the chasing, all the outdoor photography in Paris, and just like the follow shots on the motorcycles and the cars, and just the little pieces of the city, the alleys and the streets and stuff. It's my favorite part of the movie is everything that takes place in Paris. Basically, it's just like really nice to watch. It's a really really flattering use of the location.
Well, Colin is a noted Francophile. It's anything
I've been to Paris twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's
I like
always talking
Paris.
about eating snails.
Not that so much. I've never actually tried that.
As you guys know, I purchased the 4K collection of this movie series, and I've been watching them all in 4K. And I have to say, this movie is gorgeous. It's beautifully shot, and it gave me a full erection while watching it.
The entire time.
The entire time. 2.5 hour erection. I was hurting by the end.
Good God, call your doctor.
We got more than one. We got more than one Eiffel Tower in this picture, if you know what I mean.
Heyo.
Oh.
The end sequence when Tom Cruise goes up on that helicopter, the aspect ratio opens up. Oh my god. It's beautiful. Sorry.
It's happening again.
It's happening again.
So if you were
You
to
guys
meet
can't
the
see it,
DP
but we
in real life,
can.
I can't see it.
It's poking
it's
up
a
into
problem.
the Zoom frame, making a little cameo.
It looks like Nemo. it's his background, guys. It's just his background.
That's
Calm
Dory.
down.
that's not Nemo, that's Dory.
Well,
He's behind his head.
Nemo's there.
No, it's that little.
Which
It's
one?
that
Oh,
little
there's Nemo.
seahorse. It's that seahorse.
Which head?
That's what it is.
Where is he?
And
Wait, I was
so
gonna
we-
make another. Oh yeah. What if you were talking to the DP and you're like, hey bro, you got a sweet aspect ratio. I killed it,
He
didn't I?
would probably love that. If he's a DP, he'd
Yeah.
be like, what? You noticed my aspect ratio? Nobody ever notices. All they care about is lighting.
He's like DP puns. High five.
I mean, most
Night.
of these puns are bad, and I leave them in. I think I'm gonna cut that one. That was just bad.
Oh no.
That was a little much. You got to start cutting
Look,
them to
it's not my
punish him.
I'm just relentless. I'm pun-stoppable.
More puns. More puns.
Let's see what I have in my notes here. Oh, so the first scene is a dream sequence, and Tom Cruise or Ethan Hunt is dreaming about his wedding with Julia at a crazy mountainside like town in where the fuck, I have no idea. It's beautiful.
Looks like New Zealand, maybe.
It's incredible. And the guy who's marrying them, we don't know who it is at first, but if you can't tell by
Oh,
his
come on.
very distinct voice, it's Solomon Lane.
Easily recognize that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All I could think of during this scene is who's at this wedding? Like, who's sitting in the audience?
No one.
There's got to be an
No one
audience.
is. No,
It's a
there's not always
destination
an
wedding.
audience.
They did it as a destination wedding in like in Middle Earth, just so
Middle-earth.
they could keep anyone from showing up. They wanted to keep it small. Only his worst enemy was invited,
Yeah. Hey, Solomon
and
Lane.
he had to take an online certification so he could marry them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what the kids
can
call a
marry you
flex, inviting your worst enemy to your wedding and making
Yeah,
them
and only him.
marry you.
Yeah.
But I was like, ooh, foreshadowing. They're going to be vaporized. I love it. With my head
Yeah.
bobbing.
You know what I thought about was I just thought they committed a lot of effort to vaporizing them special effects wise, and I was like, wow, that's a lot of effort, and I probably won't remember that scene by the time we get to the 2.5 hours later. But I did remember it.
I remembered
did.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the only dream sequence in this movie. We actually get two of them, which is kind of funny because there hasn't been one since the first movie, when he dreams that Jim Phelps comes back from the dead, which is kind of just to set up a later time when he actually does come back from the dead. But so we got this opening dream sequence. Then we have one that's really a gorgeous shot later on where it's just him and he sees Julia talking to Lane, and then wakes up again.
They're in like a
so
club
we have
or
this kind of
something.
Yeah, right, exactly. So we just have these random dream sequences sprinkled in for the first time ever, and it sets it off on an interesting. I always wonder because they started Mission Impossible 3 with a flash forward, because the initial ending was not that exciting because it was them at an engagement party, and I'm
initial
wondering if this one
beginning, you mean, right?
Yeah, beginning, yes. I wonder if this one was done similarly, only because it doesn't really hit the ground running. I guess you have a lot of exposition before you have any action. So I guess maybe that's the idea here, is to try to get some, like, grab your attention up front with, like, sort of the twist of, oh no, it's Solomon Lane ruining the wedding and now they're getting evaporated.
I mean, I would say that for
really-
Mission Impossible 3, that felt like an editing choice where they were like, the beginning is boring. We need to, like, move a scene up.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Whereas this felt a little more intentional, because not only
Yeah, I don't think they figured this out after the fact. This was probably always planned, but still, I think there's no reason to open with this. Like, we get right into the plot, except that they wanted to establish a couple of things.
Yeah, it establishes the same thing that the scene in 3 does, that it tells you who the bad guy is, and that he's back, and it shows Julia. So it's like, oh, okay, it's like setting you off, like, oh, she's going to be in this movie. I wondered to myself, if we didn't have these dream sequences and then she just popped up at the end, would that be better or would that be worse? I think it would be cool. I mean, we wouldn't be like let down, or you wouldn't be like, oh, come on, like, it would all kind of make sense why Lane wanted them to go there or whatever. And then you see Julia, it would be more of a shock, I think. I think it would have been cooler. I kind of wish that they didn't do the dream sequences to set her up.
Some people would have been confused. They'd have been like, who is that?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
But then they
Who's
do have
she?
Ving Rhames, like, explaining everything.
Right. I mean, I think it's nice for people like you guys who are fans and know the story better. And for me, it was like, oh, he's married? Oh, okay. But it wasn't even about the wife for me, which I understand that it was. Because, again, I think it's another emotional beat, but for him and for Lane. Because in the previous movie, I didn't think Lane was that impressive as a villain. I was like, oh, he's really smart. He's always like 10 steps ahead of you, blah, blah, blah. Like, every fucking supervillain of all time is like, I'm gonna beat you. No, I beat you in the end. For this one, that's where you get the personal connection. And I thought that even though 5 for me was more streamlined story-wise, and I liked it a little bit more because, like, I think simple is better, but I think the emotional connection between Lane and Ethan in this movie is much more interesting and much more dynamic, and, like, that I play way more into the whole, like, John Lark and Walker and the CIA and then this face and that face and I was like, the story, there's so much story, but I can always go back to their connection.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on Lane being a more menacing villain in this one. And I think in addition to all the other things they did to build him up, Sean Harris grew that big-ass beard out again, and we didn't see what a weak chin he has.
Fuck yeah.
It's like, it's much easier to think he's intimidating when he's got the mountain man beard.
Yep.
For sure. Over the glasses. You're a villain
Yeah, the
if you
glasses
have
and a little
facial
tiny
hair
chin.
or glasses. And if you have
I don't
both,
know.
props, double props.
I was
but-
scared. I was scared of the little chin. It was so low. And
Because he had glasses. If you didn't have glasses,
yeah.
you wouldn't be scared. Facts.
Fact.
Anime facts, actually.
So after, I was gonna say we still have more cold open after they're annihilated. Tom Cruise wakes up in what looks like an empty warehouse. Is this where he lives when he's not working? Like on a cot, like spooning his automatic? Is that like, is this his life? No wonder he's
The
not very
location-
chipper.
Belfast.
Department was like, please, something easy. Please.
Yeah, give me a job. I need to see my buddies. That's why he's so chipper. Like in the very next scene, he's there with Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames, and he's like all smiles and joking around with them, and it's just like, oh, it's so nice to just be out of the warehouse. I'm so glad just to be mingling.
So we get the self-destruct message. This time it's in a copy of Homer's Odyssey, and he opens it up.
Don't forget how it arrives.
Oh yeah, that was cool.
By messenger, and he says, "What is it like? Fate whispers
storm
to the
is
warrior."
coming.
Some.
Yeah.
I was trying to look that up.
Is
I
it
was like,
raining?
I
this
am the
must be a
storm.
quote because it can't possibly. They couldn't have made up something this dumb, and I can't find any quote of this
Fate
anywhere.
whispers to the warrior, "A storm is coming." The
Yeah.
warrior responds, "I am the storm."
Yeah, it's lame.
It's
lame
lame.
spy
yeah.
talk.
It's awesome.
Lame.
I liked it.
Just over. It's too much, man.
Your taste runs lame, Colin.
You know what I thought he should have done? He should have given him like a shoulder touch also. Just really
Secret
good
handshake?
things. I am the storm.
Yeah.
Why are you touching me? Why are you touching me?
Like one of
Ooh,
those
how about
handshakes
the-
where he strokes the inside of his wrist with his index finger.
He's like, ugh.
Oh, good God. Now you fall down dead, but take a few steps because I killed you, but nobody's supposed to know that I killed you. Okay,
Yeah, it's
got it. That game
Five
murder
palm
or
touch.
whatever.
So then we get the message. He watches it on a little projection screen, and I mean, it's really well edited. Who's making these things? Who's making these messages? That's what I want to know.
It's Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin.
No, it's-
He's just sitting over
bunch of
Adobe
out of-
Premiere, just like
Oh my
more
God. He's like, this
effects
is what the
here.
secretary has to do? This is fucked up. This is not the secretary position
No,
I
no.
signed up for.
I think
how
I
who's
can
gonna
attest
do it?
to how
The
many out of
secretary
work.
can't have a secretary. He's the secretary.
I can attest to how many out of work film school graduates there are in the world. You could get somebody to freelance that every week for like nothing.
Yeah,
But then we have to kill you afterward. But
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
every time
you're good with that?
they could afford it.
I need
Also,
you to do this for
smallpox
me. Do you
thing,
choose
the
to accept it?
smallpox.
Why do you keep asking me if I choose to accept it? I just want to edit something or whatever. What's the deal with this choose to accept?
My favorite
editing-
line.
Your editing
is-
assignment if you choose to accept it.
The best line in this movie is when Solomon Lane was like, I wonder, have you ever said no? And I was like, great question. What are you going to say fucking no to this book that just shows up and self-destructs? It's like, well, I don't really want to do this.
That'd
But
be
the
funny if they
message
actually
is
showed him
gone.
getting some messages and he's like, nah, I'm on vacation. Like, I'm going to say no to this one.
Ooh, that one seems hard. Bucharest. I don't like it there.
Isn't
At this time
isn't
of
that
year?
kind of
No,
what
no,
he?
no.
Yeah.
Isn't that
He's like,
kind
come
of
on,
what he did when he,
Acapulco.
Isn't that kind of what he did when he like ran off and had like a life where he had a wife and he was pretending to work for the DMV?
Well,
And
he
he
told
was,
him.
I
he told
choose
him
not to
stop
accept
sending it-
anymore.
I think he said, "Stop sending me these stupid messages." And then when they did send him another one, he was like, "Ah, fuck, I guess I'll do
He's
it."
like, fine.
He's
You
just
know
a
I can't
soft
say
touch.
no to you guys.
Exactly. He just can't quit them.
I don't know how
Harris,
to quit
you were talking
you.
about you were talking about flashbacks and flash forwards. Are we ever going to get the flashback where he's really explaining that he's just worked for the DMV the whole time and he's a normal guy and then ruining that woman's life?
God.
So in the message scene, we learn about the Apostles, how they're an offshoot of the Syndicate from the previous movie. We learn about Kashmir, which is a setup for later, and then John Lark. we find out that there's a guy named John Lark who's trying to buy some nuclear, what do you call it? Plutonium.
Plutonium.
Yep. Then we go to the Berlin handoff scene, where Simon Pegg and Ving Rhames are hanging out.
Where they don't seem like they have enough guys.
Yeah, they're trying to buy the plutonium from Trump Jr. That guy had a definite Trump Jr. vibe.
I have a question.
And they get the plutonium in their hands, and they somehow lose it in the most boneheaded way possible.
Yeah.
Like, I know he wanted to save Luther and everything, but it's like it doesn't even occur to them that this thing that they're after is out of sight around the... Like, couldn't he have taken the case with him as he was shooting those guys? Like, there were so many ways that they didn't have to lose the plutonium there. It was so dumb. I just wanted to bang my head against the table, and it's a good thing they redeemed themselves in the very next scene, because I was dying.
Yeah, but the car was a remote control car.
So throw it in the car
God.
and drive it away. Like, they could have done... That's just another way they could have protected the plutonium.
I will say that...
I didn't like this.
Sorry.
Do you want to go first?
I would just... are they always this dumb? Like, no offense, but it's like what you just said. 'Cause it's like, is this a special forces to you? Or is this a bunch of boneheads or like on a training day, like... exercise?
Well, to their
you know
credit,
what I mean?
the Impossible Mission Force, like just the name of it sounds like a dumb name. Like we like impossible missions. We solve crimes. So.
Is there anyone else in the IMF either? Or how big is this? What's happening?
It all depends on
We
what
don't
the
get to
script
know.
demands. Whatever the script needs. Sometimes it's this huge bureaucracy where you got to like get approval from your supervisor for everything, and there's a bunch of clerical workers doing desk shit, and then sometimes it's just this one dude who's got to randomly call up his friends to help him out. And yeah, they are totally boneheaded when it's necessary to keep the movie going, because I guess if they had gotten the plutonium in that first scene, the movie would have been very short and not very good. So they had to be really dumb there. But I wish they had thought of a better... They don't usually have to be that dumb. This was exceptionally stupid.
In the one with Ving Rhames, in the one with Lawrence Fishburne, there's like a whole bullpen of cubicles of like 50 people, just typing on computers and shit, all, somehow employed by the IMF, I guess. And now we see that they have only Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise and Alec Baldwin, and that seems to be it.
It's like a startup.
So one of our things that I think we, or at least I, didn't like about Ghost Protocol, which was what, 5?
Number 4.
The hoodie one. Which is the hoodie one?
Yeah, the fourth one.
Yeah, the fourth one. 4. So is that in the fourth one to increase the stakes and the pressure they're under, they keep failing at all their little missions, their little like heists and stuff like that, and it takes something away from the movie. And I feel like with scenes like this where, yeah, that was stupid as hell. He set the case down in the street and walked away, and then he's like, oh, they took it. That's dumb.
I love that moment where they
like
remember that there's a case of plutonium there, and they're all like looking at each other like, oh no, the plutonium.
Yeah.
It's like, you forgot the whole reason you came out there.
Well, Ving Rhames did get shot. I would have felt that, but
also in the end, them losing that helps like the ball rolling of like finding out who John Lark is, only by like attempting to buy it back and this and that and whatever. The whole plot of the movie helps them like figure out who John Lark is. If they just got the plutonium, they would never know who he is, right?
So maybe it was their plan all along.
I thought they should have done that. They should have revealed, like, because really the whole thing of these movies is like Tom Cruise never like thinks before he acts. He just kind of like does things and hopes that they work out. So like that, him like purposely losing the plutonium in order for the events of the movie to transpire would have been a good thing for them to reveal later on. Like, yeah, I did this on purpose. Like I lost him on purpose because I'm Tom Cruise and I'm fucking crazy. But it worked out.
And they were ahead of the bad guys a couple times in this movie. They every once in a while they know what they're doing. Like in the
I don't
very
like
next
that
scene
aspect
with the,
of it when they don't know what they're doing though. Like I like when when it's more heisty and more clever, and they are thinking like a couple steps ahead, and they are doing, more like kind of chess game maneuvers than just
because
okay, so I'm sorry.
I want to piggyback on what you just said though.
Oh, well, I wanted to expand on it.
All right.
When I'm watching this, I realized there's basically like three main methods that the IMF uses. It's either a heist something, a misdirection, like when they're wearing a mask and they're posing as someone else, or it's like a bird dog, like I have to go get this. And so in this one, they do a little bit of the heist when they steal the man out of the truck. They do the misdirection with the nuclear scientist guy. And the end scene is like the bird dog. He's just like, oh, I got to go get the trigger. And so I got to run after it. And I think like if you look at all the movies, it's always them doing one of those three things. And I think I prefer the other two to like him just chasing. You know what I mean? And I think this one went more in the direction of him chasing someone down is the cool thing that we're successful with or something. But I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of him
I
chasing in this movie.
And it's partly that's because some of this formula of, having a plan and executing it is a lot of times if you have a plan and you execute it, there's not a lot of surprise there. So I think all these movies, everything, like any movie, in the third act, everything hits the shitter and it seems like it's the worst case scenario and all their plans have, gone wanting and now they just have to scramble to figure something else out. And very rarely does it all kind of pay off. Like actually, Rogue Nation was one of the few ones where they had a plan at the end. Like the movie closed with them having a plan and executing it perfectly and capturing Lane, But what I was going to say was
that.
It's interesting that you pointed that out because I just watched a YouTube video called, I think I plugged them before. It's called Lessons from the Screenplay. And this guy, Michael something or other, has this YouTube channel where he breaks down like sort of things that you can learn as a writer from famous scripts and famous movies. And I think I mentioned it before because he does a great one on Casino Royale and developing character through action. And he does a great one that I just watched recently on how to set up and execute a heist in a movie. And he uses the first Mission Impossible and Rogue Nation as examples of obviously the famous CIA heist in the first one and the underwater heist in Rogue Nation, specifically about how a big part of it is setting up expectations for the audience. And in both of those, you get the little preview sequence of, in the CIA one, in the first one, he talks you through the analyst going in and working on the computer and all the safeguards that they'll have to overcome. And in the in Rogue Nation, they do the underwater one, and they actually play act how they would break into it if Benji was wearing the mask, and you get to actually see it all go wrong. And in this one, we get the same thing because, like you said, the big heist in this one is them stealing Solomon Lane from the police custody, and this is kind of a nice sort of an audience misdirect, but also that preview of what it would be like if they went with the plan of having the bunch of guys and guns, and then they surprise you with how they actually pull it off, and that's the heist gone right. But then a lot of times, in the previous ones, like the water one, for instance, it goes wrong. And then they go right into bird dog mode, which you totally nailed that. That's definitely the three things in this movie. I actually really like the other two more too, but I feel like the endings gain something when, like, in just terms of adrenaline, when it's a bird dog moment. Which that's why Rogue Nation had such a good ending, because it's actually both. It feels like a bird dog moment, and then you learn that it's a heist all along, or a misdirect all along.
Totally.
Yeah.
Hey, this is a good. I was gonna say, Colin, do you want to do your plot summation now?
Oh God, I was gonna say, when I was watching it, so I watched it for the first time today, which I saw a lot of the twists coming. I think it's just because I'm me and I've watched all the other Mission Impossibles, but I was like, oh, this guy, he's like Cavill. I was like, he's the bad guy. He's Lark. He has a mustache,
obviously.
Well, yeah, but also
he's an asshole. He never turns into a nice guy.
He's a dumbass. He's like, afraid of a little lightning. Lost your tank. I was like, this guy fucking sucks.
Yeah, he's clearly evil the whole time. And then also when he's talking to the CIA woman, they make the CIA woman look really fucking stupid to me.
Yeah.
When he's talking to her, and he's like saying all this stuff, and I'm like, look, lady, He just told you what he's doing, not what Ethan Hunt is doing. It's really clear he's telling you what he is doing.
It's like
He's
the
being
inverse
really
of
specific.
it's like the inverse of the mole scene from the first one, where he's talking about the mole, but he's really talking about Jim Phelps, except that she doesn't get it.
Yeah. But the way the scene came off to me was very much like, my friend is a bad guy. I'm just asking for a friend because he's the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like, and she's like, oh yeah, okay.
Also,
I understand.
When she finally believes them at the end that he's turned, her reaction is to also then not believe them and fuck everything up again.
Yeah.
Like she
Oh
just
my
couldn't.
God.
Right. She couldn't screw things up worse. And then she shows
Right,
up
and
like
when
a
they-
hero at the end, like, oh, she showed up and saved his life. It's like, yeah, thanks a lot. You could have helped me out by like not fucking me over 3 times already.
Yeah, and directly after they reveal that her organization is infiltrated, she's like, I only trust my organization with this.
Yeah.
Directly after that.
Plot summation.
Yeah, okay. All right, here we go.
All right, hold on.
I'm gonna mess up.
I'll get the timer.
I don't think I'm ready. I'm not ready.
I think you can do it.
Oh, also, so the other thing was I rewatched the beginning with the tape, the your mission if you choose to accept it part. And I was rewatching it specifically because the first time I watched the whole movie, and I thought in that thing they said Lark was part of the Apostles. They don't say that. He says the Apostles are a client of his. But just from that tape, it seems really clear that Lark is a bad guy and the Apostles are the bad guys. And they do want to work together in some way. And not realizing that they could already be working together is kind of short-sighted, I guess, for, my opinion.
I mean, he figures it out pretty quickly. And also, like,
yeah, but I figured it out
Lark.
sooner.
When did you realize that Lark or that Walker was Lark? What was the moment?
Like around the time where he was talking to the CIA woman, and he was like, "My friend is possibly posing as Lark," and
And he
I'm
hands
just
her
asking
the
for a
phone
friend.
that's not broken.
I mean, it is really seconds later that he basically tells the audience that,
Right.
yeah, I'm the bad guy.
It's the
here.
phone.
And there's an insert of a fucking phone that's like, look at this phone, it's not broken, remember?
Right.
Remember?
Right.
Remember?
But it was a
It's
little
like,
before
yes.
that. Something a little after the bathroom. The bathroom was fishy, Like, why is he being so weird in this bathroom?
I think it was
scene?
when he killed everyone. He killed everyone that he came across that could ID Lark or something. There was like something.
Right.
I
He was
like,
already
oh,
suspicious.
No wonder.
Yeah, the bathroom was interesting because the bathroom was the one part in the movie that character was kind of winning me over, that I was like, oh, they're fighting on the same team and he's helping and all of his muscle is actually useful now and not just annoying. And I was thinking, because like the old Mission Impossible TV shows used to usually have like a guy who was the muscle or, like and in this movie, they don't really need it because Tom Cruise can kick everyone's ass. But like, I thought, oh, maybe they're introducing a new character that is going to be I'm going back to the first time I saw it. Maybe the suspicious guy isn't so suspicious after all. And then, almost immediately you're starting to second guess him. And then they basically tip their hand later, mostly to set up that the rest of the movie plays out better when he's a bad guy and you don't think that the Mission Impossible team knows that he's a bad guy yet.
I also knew that Simon Pegg was the one in the chair when he starts giving away the plan. I was like, as soon as they were like, okay, we're going to go on the mission now. You stay here, Henry Cavill, not suspicious guy. Just stay here and keep not being suspicious. And then they just leave, and it's like, okay, yeah, Simon Pegg is the one in the room. And yeah, he's going to go reveal that he's bad.
But I think that's
Yeah,
also
I
the
think-
point. We're all supposed to know that, and then he figures
At
it
this
out.
point,
Yeah, pretty
yeah.
quick. Exactly.
Well, I feel
And-
bad for Agent Walker because he keeps introducing himself to people and they don't give a fuck. And that is why he turns on everyone. He's like, hey, Agent Walker. And they're like, nobody fucking cares, dude. Anyway, ignoring you now. I'm like, that guy was bullied. It was our fault.
I feel like they had to do more of that, like, because when he was like kind of the butt of the joke and not just some asshole, it was actually what made you warm up to him and think like, oh, maybe this guy is going to be part of the team, like how Brandt was, the Jeremy Renner character in the first movie that he was in. It was like, can we trust this guy? There's some suspicious shit going on, and we didn't trust him when we thought he was going to betray him, and then it turned out he didn't. It was sort of the same vibe, except this time he was just as suspicious as Like, he should have been that suspicious because he was fucking bad.
Do you think at some point that this character was like that this was originally Brant and that Brant was going to turn, like the reveal was that he...
No, you know what they offered Brant? I actually read about this. I didn't know this at the time. They wanted Jeremy Renner to come back for a cameo, and he was going to get shot and killed in that opening exchange when they were buying the plutonium.
Oh, shit.
And so he was going to get killed there, and that was going to fuel the whole mission, was getting revenge for Brant. And then so when he said, like, because he was shooting Avengers, so he couldn't do this movie, and he was like, I'm not coming there for like 3 days to have my character killed off. So he turned him down, and then they were like, okay, I guess we'll kill Luther. And then they were like, no, we can't kill Luther. He's been here since the beginning. And then they were like, oh, I guess we got to kill Benji. No. And then everyone was like, no, we like Benji too much. So they decided like, oh, let's not kill anybody, which is probably why that scene, they seem so stupid, because they were supposed to be dealing with one of the key members of the team being murdered. And instead they're just dealing with like, oh, nothing bad happened. Except that
they just reveal that he's wearing a bulletproof vest, and you're like, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there are no stakes because I'm like, they're never gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
They should have introduced a jobber. Like, hey, I'm the fresh new guy. I won't get killed right now.
Yeah. The red shirt. Hey, you red shirt. Come on the mission with this old team of old friends.
He's also somehow a new father.
All right, Colin, are you ready?
Yeah, exactly.
A new father.
Just trying to get back home to my newborn. Haven't met him yet. Excited to be
Somehow
here with you guys, though.
Somehow clutching the picture of the wife and the baby with blood as he dies.
Like, no,
yeah, of course.
The baby.
Yeah.
No, Doug. Oh, I think it was Dan. Oh, Dan.
Dan. And in 20 years, the baby will get revenge.
Tom Cruise will still be in these movies. All right, Colin, are you ready to do this?
I'll try.
All right, here we go. Ready? So, Chandler, Colin's going to summarize the plot in 2 minutes.
You got it.
I'm going to try.
All right, ready? On your mark, get set. Oh, wait, you can't see it. How do I do this? On your mark,
I can't.
Get set, go.
Okay, there. Okay, so we start with a dream sequence where Tom Cruise is getting married by his enemy who he imprisoned, and they die getting nuked or something. And then he wakes up and he gets a mission from a guy, and the mission is like, oh, the Syndicate, they turned into the Apostles, and there's also a guy named Lark, and he's trying to get nuclear bombs to nuke everybody, and there's a scientist that's going to help him. So he's like, oh, okay, I got to go after him. And then he gets the team together, and they lose the nuclear cores, the plutoniums, because they fuck up somehow. And then they go to the scientist guy, and they trick him. They're like, hey, look, Wolf Blitzer's here, and Wolf Blitzer's telling you right now, this is the news, and everybody already got nuked or whatever, so just give us the info. And he's like, oh, well, make Wolf Blitzer read this. Sorry.
You're halfway done, and you're not even through the cold open yet.
I know. I need more time. So they trick him, and then they go on to keep doing the mission. So they find out they got to deal with this lady who's like an intermediary between Lark and the people he's trying to get the stuff from. And so Tom Cruise infiltrates that with the CIA guy that the CIA gave him, and the CIA guy is clearly bad, and he's going along for the ride, and it's Henry Cavill, and he's got a mustache, and he's bad. And then Tom Cruise gets in there, but people get killed, and it's not going totally to plan. But then he gets in good with the woman, and she's like, look, we need you to get us your archenemy. And he's like, okay. So they heist away the archenemy, and they get chased all around Paris, and there's lots of Paris and chasing and running and killing and everything and explosions. And then the woman's like, wow, you did a good job. You got him, but I don't trust you yet. But why don't you get us this other woman? Because the woman from the other movie has shown up the whole time. She's following them all around. Well, then it's like, it's all fucked, and fuck. I'm not going to do it. So then they realize they got to go to the Himalayas and stop the nuclear bombs because they have to win, and Henry Cavill was bad the whole time, and he was Lark. And I fucked up really bad. I'm over the time.
Damn it.
I
was going so good. I got really hung up on Wolf Blitzer. We should have talked about Wolf Blitzer before.
Yeah, you spent a full 15 seconds. You spent more time talking about Wolf Blitzer than Wolf Blitzer spent in this movie.
as soon as I got there, I'm in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, the Wolf Blitzer part. We should have talked about that. I'm super excited about this. And then I realized, oh wow, all the seconds have gone away.
You know what would have made the Wolf Blitzer scene better? If when they
could act?
When they reveal, that it was all a sham and Wolf Blitzer comes up, they say, all right, you can take off your mask now. And he just goes, what mask? And it's actually Wolf Blitzer.
and then he waddles off camera.
Yeah.
It's funny
I have
because
to go do my CNN show now.
He was so convincing reading fake news on the TV thing, and then as soon as he has to come in and deliver like 3 lines, it's like, oh god.
I was like, Jesus Christ.
How are you that good at acting like Wolf Blitzer, but you can't act like Wolf Blitzer in real life?
Just pretend you're reading the news again, I guess.
Just pretend you're normal. Pretend you're reading the news, but the news is, did we get it? And you're reading it to your friends.
I think he was too excited to be in a movie rather than on TV. I think that's what I got out of
Probably.
it.
He thought he was making the jump. He's like,
You're right.
finally
We're proud of
my
you.
years
Good job.
My
Good
years
job,
of work in
honey.
television have paid off. I'm finally getting movie roles.
Yeah,
It's the dream. He thought he was going to George Clooney it.
Ooh.
This scene's a little bit interesting to me because the guy is really wants Wolf Blitzer to read his manifesto, and the manifesto is extremely vague and ambiguous, but that guy could be a white supremacist, like he's an anarchist, but I could see him having those leanings. And
Are you talking about
it's
German
just a weird
Steve
vibe.
Buscemi?
Yeah, German Steve Buscemi, you're right.
Oh my God. It is. Not as handsome though.
No.
And it's just a weird vibe this day and age to see all that go down. It's because I don't know, like this seems like a normal movie scene that's like a funny, cool thing to do, but now that with the times we're living in, it's just like
Depressing.
what the fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll admit that this was when I saw this originally, I think the only one in this movie that really kind of got me for a second, where I was like, oh, maybe they actually are going to, in the world of the story, blow up all these things to really make it serious and elevate the gravity of it. Because, I mean, they blew up the Kremlin, like 2 movies ago. So it's not like they're opposed to doing some mass catastrophe, an act of terrorism or whatever. And so for a second, and Cruise obviously sells it really well, too. And so it took me a second. Yeah. It took me a second, and then I was like, "Oh, I see what they're doing. The walls are going to fall down any second now." And
yeah, I was with you. I believed it up until he gets to the point where Luther has to hold him back, and he goes at him, and Luther's like, "Don't do it, man. You're not like this." And then I was like, "Oh,
I was
Benji
like, are you
is Wolf
kidding
Blitzer."
me? I was like, it's Tom Cruise playing Ethan Hunt playing Tom Cruise. I was like, stop it, man.
Yeah, but then he just
Yeah,
gives
but-
in to like making the phone call too quickly. He like tries to like kill the guy, and then he's like, "All right, I'll just make the call." And he's like, "Yeah,
Okay, fine.
yeah, just
We'll do it."
air it." Yeah.
You got it, dude. What about the smallpox
but-
thing? Was that hit a little close to home for recent events?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Yeah, but they contained.
nobody's wearing a
they contained
mask.
it in the.
I also just watched The West Wing. I think it's like season 1, episode 5 or 7. That Bradley Whitford goes off on this tangent about how like it's not going to be a nuclear war that kills us. It's going to be a disease. And I was like, that's from like 2005 or whatever. I was like hyperventilating because I'd never watched The West Wing before, and I was like, it's too prescient. I'm scared. Here we are. Anyway,
I really dug the. So what you guys? Up next is the Halo jump scene where he jumps out of a plane. They really did it. You know what I hate? Like he really did it, but then they put so much CGI into like the thunderstorm that it kind of
What the fuck?
takes away from
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Like, if you don't know that they actually did the Halo jumps, it's not that impressive.
Yeah.
It's like, it kind of, it's, if you know about all the behind the scenes stuff, if you're aware of that, it kind of works. And it's kind of like, oh, this is kind of, something. But it's not boring. But it's not special, like in the best circumstances. And if you don't know that they actually did the Halo jumps, it's like, what the fuck am I even watching here? Like, the only impressive shot is when they first come out of the plane, the camera control of like the camera operator going out first and then zooming in on him as he pulls up to him with his big Tom Cruise face. But other than that, it's like, they CGI the lightning and they CGI a lot of the clouds. They CGI Paris because they didn't do it over Paris. So all the lights you're seeing are all CGI. And they're wearing fucking helmets. You can't even see who the actors are. So, like, what was the point of doing this at this expense and doing all these jumps and everything? I don't get it at all. This is one of the ones that I will just never get it.
Tom Cruise is just a thrill seeker who is also an actor. So, like, him doing movies, he's reached the point in his career where he signs on now to movies because he just wants to do something thrilling. Obviously, like, I just read today that he's doing a movie in outer space. That's his next. He's going to do the Mission Impossible 7 and 8. And then his next movie is called Lunar Park. And it's going to be directed by... I forget his name. Guy who directed Swingers. I can't think of his name. Doug Liman.
Liman.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're going to shoot part of it in actual outer space. So, like, that's why he's doing that, because he wants to be the guy, the actor, the first actor to go to outer space. For real.
Whatever it is, I'm all in. Doug Liman's good.
Yeah.
I totally get what Harris is saying about this, but I would love for him to say it to Tom Cruise, because Tom Cruise would come at him with like a real serious energy. No, we had to do it that way. Like, just really intimidate him.
He'd just be like, well, you don't understand halo jumping. I understand halo jumping. I've read the literature.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a little,
exactly.
Little Matt Lauer reference there.
Dude, how crazy was that interview? How crazy was that?
Oh man.
Definitely awkward. I turned it off. I couldn't even watch the whole thing. I was like, oh, this is
Painful.
like your parents fighting in the next room. I was like, oh, this is weird.
I'd like to see what was cut out.
And hey, if at that time you would have said one of these guys will be horribly disgraced and his career will be over in a few years, which one would you have guessed, right? The crazy guy, right?
I do think Matt Lauer was like kind of pushing his buttons a little bit as it went on. I was like, okay, obviously he's upset with you, Matt. Like, why don't you just
he just kept on
just back
why don't
off.
you pivot?
What I didn't,
and he did.
Yeah, what I didn't get was
Yeah.
like, I don't think he was pushing his buttons. I just feel like he was making the same point again, and clearly it was just like banging his head into a brick wall. Tom Cruise wasn't going to change his mind.
Yeah.
So what's the point of continuing down that path over and over again? It was, I guess as a reporter you don't want to let him off the hook, but they had made the point that they had a severe disagreement. Anybody who was watching could see that, one of the guys was very emotional about this for weird reasons. But
Chandler, we're talking about the famous interview that Matt Lauer did with Tom Cruise in like 2005. It was right around the time when he did the Oprah Winfrey jumping on the couch thing. Yeah.
I vaguely remember. I couldn't watch it because it was deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I was like, nope. But I know I've heard it referenced enough where I'm like, still gets me a little.
Yeah, he's bounced back a little bit since then.
Who?
Does
Matt
he really
Lauer?
do press though? Never again.
The other thing that was annoying about the Halo jump, to get back to that, was that, so at the time you just think Walker's an asshole, but it makes even less sense that he would be jumping out into a lightning storm when you think that he's Locke, because he can reschedule the meeting with the White Widow, but the IMF are the only ones who think they have to do that now. So if anything, he should have been like cool with like, oh, lightning, oh fuck, oh well, because IMF was the ones who thought this was like their one chance to nab him.
Yeah, I guess that would be kind of a giveaway, no?
I guess, but he doesn't have to go bombing out into a lightning storm. He could be like, all right, Tom, what do you got? I mean, Ethan.
I think we're actually supposed to believe in this little pissing contest going on in between Cavill and Cruise's character, in between Hunt and Walker, where he's like, well, I'm tough and badass. I don't care if you think I shouldn't kill everybody. And he's like,
well,
you
that's
shouldn't
what
kill
we're
everybody
supposed to
I'm
believe
tougher
as
and
the audience.
badasser.
But I mean, it doesn't make sense for that character because he knows that he's Locke.
I mean,
that's not going to be a surprise for him.
I think we're supposed to think it makes sense, even if he knows he's Lark. You mean Lark, right? Is what you're trying to say?
Lark.
Not Locke.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This isn't a Lost
think we're
podcast.
Not yet.
Though I wish. Bring me back, okay?
That's my next podcast idea. When they invent more
You
days
guys
in the
can
week
splinter
and I
off.
have time to do another podcast.
Exactly. He also recovers real quickly for a guy who got hit by lightning. He's
Yeah.
like, and apparently came to while descending on a parachute and still makes a perfect landing.
And has no recollection that he was unconscious.
Right.
I thought
Yeah, what
Cruz
did you
got hit
think
by the
happened?
lightning and he lost his oxygen feed.
No.
But he was unconscious. Cruz was fine.
Yeah, he was free falling, and Tom Cruise was like, I gotta go save this guy's ass now. And then he gave him his oxygen tank. And then he makes that dumb comment at the bottom, like, looks like you lost your oxygen tank. And it's like, yeah.
What did
Forgive me if I'm
what did he
wrong.
think? What did he think happened there? Like when he says that, what is he thinking occurred in the air?
I know. 'Cause
That he unconsciously opened his chute and
We all fall asleep when we're falling out of a plane and then just magically wake up at the bottom.
seriously, what a dope.
When I watched it, I saw the camera is following both of them. Then it's following just Ethan Hunt. Then he gets struck by lightning. Then he shakes it off because he's Ethan Hunt. And then he figures out that the other guy lost his oxygen feed. And so he goes and saves him. And the oxygen
Well-
is what made him pass out. And the lightning bolt is something that Ethan Hunt can shake off because he can get, like any amount of physical pain we've clearly seen over the course of the movies.
That's an interesting take, Colin, but you watched it wrong. I don't know what else to tell you.
I was watching really close.
So
I didn't look away.
So let's move on. So the next scene is the bathroom fight, which is one of the better scenes in the whole movie.
Yes.
Not the very next scene though, because they get into the club and they walk around touching their ear, and all I could think of was, I said stop touching your ear.
Well, it's also like you're in a club. There's lots of music. Can you hear me? No, I can't hear you. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Obviously.
I can't hear
What
shit.
is happening here? Are you fucking kidding
That's-
me?
That's not a
Also,
club.
there-
That's like the fucking event of the season. Also, like there's like
Also,
hundreds. There's
Yes.
thousands of people there.
Yeah, it's like a museum or something. I think they also go from the roof to the dance floor without anything in between, which is fine. But I thought it was interesting that if you watch the original trailer, which as you already pointed out was dynamite, there are several shots in that trailer that are super exciting that are nowhere to be seen in this movie, and one of them is Ethan Hunt like flying through the air Tarzan style on a wire above that dancing crowd in there. So apparently they rappelled from the roof.
There's a whole sequence that was cut. I forget where I learned this information, maybe in a behind the scenes thing, but yeah, there was like a whole action sequence of them getting from the roof like down into the whatever, and then they just realized like they didn't need it, and so they cut the whole thing
Yeah,
out.
it looks fucking dynamic as hell. I don't know why. Do they have the deleted scenes on the Blu-ray?
I didn't check because the 4K disc doesn't have any special features on it. They just leave those on the Blu-ray. But I have the Blu-ray too, so I just got to pop that in and check it out.
I would be curious. Another one is in the helicopter chase at the end. There's a really famous. It's like one of the last shots in the trailer of him flying the helicopter low over a road, and a tractor trailer truck coming like right at the helicopter.
Oh yeah.
That is not in the movie. And then there's another one where they're in wherever they are in Kashmir, and it's like they're finding all these dead bodies someplace, and I don't even know how that would fit in, but
The smallpox.
Weird. yeah, they're like guys who've been shot, but it doesn't seem. Obviously, it fit in somewhere.
They got
but
shot by
I
smallpox.
guess this movie could have been 3 hours long, a solid 3.
So then we get Ilsa Faust. She's introduced in the bathroom scene. She shoots I should say that fight with the Asian guy who they think is John Lark is incredible. My only question is, at one point he grabs a pipe and just rips it out of the wall and starts using it as a weapon. Can that be done?
You've never done that?
Isn't that pipe attached to a longer pipe? Like
Of
Other
all the
pipes?
things
Yeah.
I'm willing to forgive about this movie, that's number one. Because I'm like, I would take that over them in the club, or sorry, at the event of the season. Like, hello, can you hear me? Like, fuck, give them the pipe. Fuck, give them the pipe.
Yeah,
Everything-
It is I mean, it's
They do,
the way they use it as a weapon too, and all the they get a lot of play out of that
It's
pipe.
sharp.
It's like
It's sharp,
Yeah, they're
yeah.
gonna stab him. They're also hooking each other's arms and wrists with it and doing all sorts of crazy. It's pretty badass. It is insane. I think if you actually did that in real life and were like you had like infinity strength and could just yank things however hard you wanted to, I think it would just be like just more pipe, just pipe and pipe and just
Pipe.
pipe
And also,
would be coming
wouldn't
out
there
of the wall.
was there water at all?
no.
Right, exactly. There should have been water spilling
That's
out.
the one thing where I was like,
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that
Plumbing?
it doesn't
No?
make sense.
Got it.
I'm sure there's some very angry French plumbers somewhere.
Right. We have water in our pipes.
Good thing we
The
didn't
only
connect the
time our
water.
The only time our pipes don't have water is when they're full of wine. No, I thought this was great. I thought this was like a great like combo of fighting styles, really good choreography, and like good humor. They had like moments of like kind of it being funny, and I think there's something really gratifying about like porcelain and mirrors and stuff getting smashed. I think that's like really fun.
Yeah.
This might be the best bathroom fight in a movie ever. Not that it doesn't have some strong competition, but
True
it's one of the
Lies.
better
True
ones.
Lies is up there.
True Lies. Casino Royale has a good one.
Yep.
The Warriors.
You know-
it's an old deep cut.
Warriors come out
Come
to
out
play.
The Man from Nowhere, if you ever seen it, has a good bathroom fight scene. And if you count Bathhouse's Eastern Promises, would probably be the heavyweight contender.
That's a great one.
But
Is that with Vigo?
yeah.
yeah, but I think this
Yeah,
is
I've seen that.
this is
Seen
my
that.
favorite.
So then in the next scene we
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
the White Widow, played by Vanessa Kirby, who is very, very très sexy. Très sexy. She's
She kind of has looked like an old lady since she was young.
an old lady.
Yeah. Didn't you hear him say sexy?
Play sexy, old lady.
Well, it's funny you say that
I mean,
because
she doesn't actually look old, but she just has like that kind of like the features of like the sort of exaggerated features that old people get, where like their ears get bigger and their nose gets a little bigger, and just.
Oh
Kinda-
yeah.
I'm not saying she's not attractive. I'm just saying
Harris,
that like
stop.
she's.
you're turning Colin on. You're quite good at turning Colin on. Did you guys catch who she's talking about in her introduction? Who she's related to?
Max.
Yep.
Max.
Yeah, her mother is Max from the first movie.
Yep. That's great.
Who is Vanessa Redgrave?
I think
right?
they should have
That's who
made that.
was?
Yeah, so it's funny that you say she reminds you of an old lady because I thought that her acting, like whatever she's doing for her role in this movie, is very reminiscent of Vanessa Redgrave's character in the first movie. She like has the same kind of manner of speech as her, and the way she like her mannerisms and stuff. Like, did you guys catch that at all? Or
Oh, I think they were totally
I
trying
agree.
to do that and make her. I even think that the way they did her hair and everything was all a little bit to kind of call back to that.
but it's a very deep cut, and they really don't emphasize it. So you have to be like a super fan of this series to catch that. You know,
Yeah, it's like when Max's bag guy shows up in
in the fourth
Ghost
one,
Protocol with the bag. Yeah.
Cool. So then we meet her. She gets embroiled in this whole thing.
She's at this charitable function that she puts on to apparently to be like a front for all her arms dealings. She occasionally has like charity balls and stuff and invites, I assume, wealthy people who aren't in the criminal business to come to them. And then
I love the contrast
in the middle of
between-
this
oh, sorry.
in the middle of this party, she stabs the guy in the chest. And I guess that's everyone's just like, okay, I guess
Hell
the
yeah, she
rumors are
pulls
true.
it out of her little garter. Is it a waterfall knife? Is that what it's called? But I was
Butterfly.
Butterfly.
Butterfly. I was like, I want one of those.
And the little garter thing that she has it in is pretty nice
Très
as
sexy.
well. Yeah, it's très. Yeah, I love the contrast between the party that's downstairs with the thousands of people and the party that's upstairs. That's very jazzy.
Yeah, it's like a speakeasy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all these guys come in who I guess, people were frisking them for weapons or something because all they could sneak in were knives, except for the last two guys who had guns. So, like, could all of the guys have snuck in guns, and why didn't they? Or why didn't the gun guys come first? Cause
Yeah, hey, and
I
then
took
all of a
that-
sudden Walker is there. How did he get in?
I was just gonna
Right.
say, I was like, he didn't have a wristband, guys. Who's checking the door here?
I guess when all hell broke loose and everyone was, charging out, maybe it got a little easier. But
Right.
Yeah, that's what I
the
got.
only
Is
thing.
like after people started getting stabbed, then it was kind of like, we were just security for the door. We're not getting paid for a large scale stabbing incident. We're gonna run away, do whatever.
Yeah, so then they start planning the scene where they're gonna kidnap Solomon Lane from his what is it, like prison? Where are they moving him? They're just like shipping him from country to country.
Oh, right.
Interrogation.
Yeah, and I think they've been saying that like how long is the gap between this movie and the last movie in movie?
They
Years.
movie
say
time?
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what I thought. And they've been shipping around from country to country. So why is it suddenly that MI6 needs to have him shut up or locked down or something?
They say, she says that they've been trying to get him, but it's impossible. The bureaucracy of like him going from country to country, they all want a piece of him. They all want him to like.
But they're worried that the reason they want him specifically is because he knows secrets about MI6 that he's going to give away. But if he's already been out in the wind for 2 years, what's the point of killing him now? Like, couldn't he have, like, that's Ilsa's whole function in this movie. Is she's supposed to shut him up before he can rat out MI6 secrets? But if he's been being interrogated for 2 years, wouldn't he have given up all the MI6 secrets that he was going to?
Between this movie and the last movie, they make MI6 look not great.
Yeah. But I just don't even understand what they're, what they're worried about at this point. Like, wasn't the time to kill
They
him
also
2
make
years
the
ago?
CIA look really bad. It's only only the IMF can look good, and they also have to
Right.
screw up a little because they have to. It has to be intense.
The irony is in their world, they constantly look terrible and are on threat of being like shot, catapulted out of town.
Yeah, I want to see the Mission Impossible movie where the IMF has like finally been proven that it's great and it works and they need it, and like the CIA and like all that stuff gets shut down. Like the IMF becomes the predominant like secret force of the United States, and it's like world renowned.
I'll tell you what that movie is.
Non-existent.
It's Air Force One. Air Force One, and Ethan Hunt gets elected president. He's like, "Get off my plane."
Wow.
You know what you should not do? You should not watch Con Air and then immediately watch Air Force One, because it makes Air Force One look like shit.
Yeah.
Con
I
Air
knew
fucking
that.
rules. And then after that, I
Yeah.
was like, this is a snooze fest. Ooh, and I love Harrison Ford, but I was like, oh, God, land the
Hell
plane.
yeah.
And I love Gary Oldman as a bad guy.
Land the plane. I wanted to
Land
be
it.
over.
Just
And
land
then-
it.
and just
Get it over
And just
with.
never watch Passenger 57 because that is the ultimate plane action movie.
What about
always bet on black.
executive decision?
You gotta always bet on black. I think their bonus movie should be Con Air or Passenger 57.
We
For
also
whenever.
have
I don't know
like
when.
maybe the most iconic. These are all good movies. I'm down for any of them.
Can we just do a
we also
series
have-
on plane movies, and we just watch like all
Yeah,
the
franchise
90s
of
action movies that
airplane
are on
movies.
planes? Turbulence. Do you guys remember that movie? It sucks.
Oh yeah, what's her name? Lauren Holly.
Lauren
and,
Holly. That was her
And
star-making vehicle.
who's the guy in that?
Ray Liotta.
Was it Ray Liotta?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, wow.
I once saw a
Boy, oh,
special
boy.
on TV on like Entertainment Tonight or Access Hollywood or one of those. They, before Turbulence came out, they were predicting that movie was going to be a big summer blockbuster hit. So much so that whatever studio made it, like Universal, I think, was going to build a Turbulence ride, and they had dumped money into it. They were already like making the ride. And then the movie came out and famously was a huge flop, and like no one remembers that movie. Lauren Holly's career never recovered after that. And like that's it. They just wasted all this money on this ride and it never came to be.
But how crazy is that there was a time when somebody said, "Yeah, Lauren Holly and Ray Liotta could totally carry a big budget action blockbuster."
Yeah, she was just in Dumb and Dumber. I mean, her star was on the rise.
She was she was famous for picket fences. That was how she like launched her career.
I don't even know who you guys
So
are
she-
talking about.
She built fences before acting?
And Lauren Holly was married to Jim Carrey too.
Yep.
Yeah, in the 90s. So
Really?
she's the girl in Dumb and Dumber. Chandler, if you've seen that movie, the girl, she's Mary
The mean
Mary
one?
Swan.
Mary Swanson.
Mary
yeah.
Swanson.
Mary
Samsonite. I was way off.
Is she the mean one?
Yeah, the one he's trying
Yeah.
to get the whole movie.
Okay.
one with the headlights
so you're
for boobs.
saying there's a chance. Wait,
Yes.
or no?
Right.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Headlight
yeah,
boobs is
yeah,
the
her.
same as her?
Yeah.
Yep.
I haven't watched the movie in so long, and I famously among my friends didn't like it because they were so dumb that it made me uncomfortable. But I feel like I have to rewatch it now because everyone's like, "There's something fucking wrong with you."
Yes,
You don't-
I saw that movie in 5th grade with my best friend at the time. We went to like a 10 a.m. Saturday like matinee screening because we were kids and had nothing better to do. We loved that movie so much that we just stayed in the theater all day. We watched it like 10 times in a row.
That sounds like the
remember
best. That sounds like the best movie going experience for that age.
We did it again like a couple weekends later for Mortal Kombat, the movie.
Also a great choice for that age.
Yep.
I don't think they translate if you were just even a few years older, but at that age, amazing.
I love that was a time where you could let your 11-year-old kid and his friend like just go hang out at the movie theater all day and like not worry about way of contacting them, just trusting that they're okay.
I remember my friend when we were kids, Kevin Wheelich, he was like, I hadn't seen Dumb and Dumber yet, and he had already seen it. And he was just so mad at me for not having seen it yet, so that we couldn't just, say the lines from the movie and laugh about it. He's like, I can't believe you haven't seen it yet.
You piece of
why?
shit. You piece of human garbage.
It sounds like you weren't a very good friend.
I know. What was I thinking? I had an extra pair of gloves the whole time.
All right, let's wrap this movie up. How much have we got left? They steal Solomon Lane. It's awesome.
Quite a bit, actually. We've just introduced Solomon Lane.
They dump they crash his armored car, his armored truck into the water, and
and we have like one of the more iconic shots in the movie of the wall of water hitting him in the face.
Yeah, which I still try to figure out like how that happens, like physically. Like how does a wall of water? Like, is he upside down?
Really?
Like how
I
they
was
shot
like,
it?
Cool. I did not care at all. I was like, yeah. I was like,
just the
pipe
physics
in the
of
bathroom.
it bothered my mind.
Awesome. Wall of water. Whee!
I don't know if it makes sense. How they shot it was they had the camera stationary on the water, and then they had the truck on a gimbal. So the truck rotates. Him basically smashes his face into the water, I think.
Did you ever, when you were a kid, go to one of those wave pools where they just generate the waves?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, those are awesome.
They're
I love
awesome.
you go too far and you get scared. Like, no,
Because they get bigger.
and also but also like who's in charge of how big the waves are? It's just like some summer job
It's
kid
some
who's
it's some
like,
15-year-old
It's
kid like pushing a joystick up and down in the back.
yeah, exactly. And how advanced are the controls? Is it just like up and down and like
It's
it
a
was
dial
God.
twisted too
Okay?
yeah.
Yeah, of course.
There's like
God.
tsunami level. They tell him they're like, now Pete, never push it up to 11 and never push it up to tsunami mode. Oh,
Why does
okay.
it have tsunami mode? Shut up, Pete. Just never do it.
It's the centrifugal force machine from that James Bond movie where it's like if you push it up this high, it'll kill the person inside
yeah.
of it.
Why
do you even
why
have
would
that
you build
setting?
it this way?
So we also have when they're escaping after the breakout, we have a really good motorcycle chase with Tom Cruise on a bike escaping from a bunch of cops. And I thought, like, he's probably not going that fast because you really can't go that fast when you're shooting this stuff, because if you go too fast, it just the background doesn't matter what kind of resolution you're shooting in, the background just ends up a complete fucking blur. If you're moving the camera along with a guy riding, you just can't see anything behind him. So they were probably going like, I don't know, 40, something like that. But it's still, for him riding without a helmet and doing some of the riding that he's doing, like weaving in and out of cars, that's probably more dangerous than the Halo jumps were.
Well, you know how they do that? The cars that he's weaving through are not there. They're all added. So like when he
Oh really? I read
really?
that they had streets full of stunt drivers that he was weaving through.
maybe in some shots,
was
but there's no
choreographed.
way in those shots when he's like going towards an intersection and you just see cars and he just happens to like
Oh, yeah.
go through it, and unscathed. There's no cars there. It's all-
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, those ones make sense. I'm talking about just the ones where he's weaving through cars on the road.
Did you ever see The
Which is
Matrix
still-
2 when they have that whole highway sequence on the motorcycles at the end of the movie?
I think I repressed that
Yes.
because it was the most boring 40-minute chase scene I've ever seen.
Oh no!
Oh,
no, that
Harris,
chase
come
scene
on.
is
The
fantastic.
freeway scene.
The
freeway scene is famous for being good.
No, it's famous for being too fucking long and boring.
No way. I had a surround sound
Oh,
system. I
come
got
on.
a surround sound system around the time that movie came out at my house, and anytime anyone would come over, I would show them that scene to like emphasize how good the sound system was, and it was incredible. Everyone would be blown away all the time because the rest of that movie sucks ass. And then that scene is
what
just
rest of the
incredible.
movie? That's the entire movie. It's all just one big long chase scene with no break. This is the biggest lesson from that movie is that Mad Max Fury Road picked up on was that you absolutely have to occasionally stop the chase just to give people a chance to catch their breath so they are still invested in the chase. If it's just nothing but chase, it was the same, like it was like repeated beats over and over again.
What about the part when she eats the digital orgasm cake? That's not like kind of cool.
It's Monica
I don't
Bellucci.
even remember that. I might have been asleep.
None of you will
I might have been
respond?
asleep during that part.
All right, let's finish this movie. They steal Solomon Lane. Then they have he has a joyride with Solomon Lane in the car, which I thought was cool. And then Ilsa tries to kill him, and they're like, "What's going on?" And he's like, "That's Ilsa. That's crazy."
Oh, also, I've got a real question about the so first of all, talk about like an avoidable stupid mistake. Don't open the garage door till you've got the guy with a bag on his head in the car.
I know.
Yeah.
Like really just, and that's a Benji thing. Simon Pegg is consistently the weakest link in all of these movies in terms of his character being dumb. But like once again, he's opening that door up and Baghead isn't even in the car. Also, when the hell do you put the guy with the bag on his head riding shotgun? He rides bitch. Everyone knows this. Why can't he just hop out of the car if he's riding shotgun? Did he call it or something? You don't have to respect shotgun rules when you're kidnapping somebody. Absolutely not necessary. Also, and finally, and most importantly, you never put the tallest guy in the car behind the driver. Everyone knows this. That's the seat with the least leg room. Except maybe the bitch seat. But, you know, I'm just saying everything's wrong with how these guys are sitting in the car. It makes no sense at all.
I prefer to call it the middle seat and not the bitch seat because I feel like that is a derogatory.
Whatever makes you feel better when you're riding bitch, Colin, you call it whatever you want. But I call permanent shotgun because I'm 6'8". I feel like that should be a rule.
Are you 6'8"?
I am.
What the
I look
hell?
much. It's mostly from the shoulders down.
Wow, that sounds inconvenient.
His head is 4
Oh,
feet
it definitely
tall.
is.
Oh man! All right, so then they reconvene after all the chasing, and they trick Walker into revealing that he's a bad guy. Alec Baldwin shows up, and he's like, "Yeah, I knew he was bad all along, and I'm gonna help you guys." But then he gets killed. Which
They're like, "Welcome to the team, Alec Baldwin," and then they're like,
Oh,
"Stab
so he
Alec
does
Baldwin,
die?
go to hell, Alec Baldwin."
yeah, that's
He
what I
dies?
thought. Like, I mean, they could bring him back in the next one and be like, he was fine, you know. But I think he's dead.
But they're shaking their heads like this.
The CIA
like,
woman
You don't
thinks
do
he's
this
dead.
when it's like, oh, he might recover.
At that point, there's no reason for him to die, though, as like an emotional stake, because we're already in it.
Maybe they're
I
just
don't know.
writing him out because too many people feel like he's just his 30 Rock character, like I do.
Because he's
I'm constantly
ridiculous. Oh my god,
I'm
yes. I'm
constantly
like,
yeah.
there's no way that
Jack
this movie can
Donaghy.
be grounded when he's speaking. I'm like,
Yeah.
this doesn't make any. What are you saying?
They need to come full
I
circle.
just can't see him as a dramatic. I don't think he could be a dramatic actor anymore. Because even when he's trying to be dramatic, I'm just like, no, this is just Jack Donaghy.
It's like Christopher Walken and Robert De Niro. They just can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But no, they should come.
I thought it wasn't that bad.
Yeah, he's good. He's good. But they should come full circle and bring Lawrence Fishburne back for the next one.
Oh, I think that's got to be still on the table. I think somebody should tell. If Angela Bassett is the head of IMF in the next one, I might just protest and not watch it, because as much as I love Angela Bassett as an actress, that character is so infuriatingly dumb that if she does what all the other characters have done, which is don't believe them and hate on them for an entire movie and then come around and end up running the show, it's just we've just seen that too many times before.
I totally agree. I totally agree with everything you're saying.
I feel like they did
Wow,
that thing
mark
where
this down.
I feel like they did that thing where they bring in an actress or an actor that's amazing and that everybody loves, and then they expect us to forgive how bad the character is because the actress or actor is amazing, and it's like, I want to love you in this movie, girl, but like, what are you even? What's your purpose? You're a hindrance. You're a hindrance, and you cannot be redeemed.
Yep.
Totally agree with that also.
You know, I did read, spoiler alert, who's coming back for the next movie.
Oh, she is, isn't she?
White Widow.
Nope, it's the guy from Mission Impossible 1. Kittredge.
Oh, Kittredge, yes.
Yeah. So maybe
Yeah.
he's gonna be the new guy. That would be
love it.
cool.
I'd be down with that.
Well, they bring back that gum too.
Yeah,
He's just
Yeah,
chewing
the
gum
What
the whole
about Jeremy
time.
Renner?
so.
Why don't if it was a scheduling issue before?
They'll probably bring him back at some point.
I don't mind him.
Yeah.
He's actually funny. I liked him in 5.
Harris is always trashing him on this show.
My only point is that clearly people thought that he was going to be a movie star, and he's not. He's like a good supporting actor.
Yeah, that's a great role for him.
There's nothing wrong with that. That's okay.
All right, let's jump to the end sequence of this movie.
We got a great the foot chase. The foot chase after Locke gets away is better than I remember
Lark.
when Tom Cruise is chasing Lark. Sorry, when he gets away and Tom Cruise is chasing him. That foot chase is actually pretty good. Where they run through, he goes through the church, and then
I said to myself, when he goes through the church and they're having that funeral scene, and like all those extras, like they had to get all those extras, they had to get that whole church, all for what? Just for him to like go in there for a second and be like, I can't go that way. Guess I'll go this way. You know, like
yeah,
it's just like a producing.
It was pretty
nightmare.
fucking cool though.
What?
there was good
pretty
looking
fucking
shots.
cool.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
I-
office
we also-
when he
I-
goes.
We
ahead,
see a lot of him running again. He's got a little bit more of a natural running style now. I think he's been working on it, but he's still got the
It's only the
shoulders
arms.
almost kind of behind the butt still. But
Yeah,
I
he's
saw
still Yogi
him. I saw
Bearing
him
it.
change.
He's still Yogi Bearing it
He
a
leaned
little bit,
into
but-
one of them. I don't know. Yeah, he's running better
just
though.
his-
I like the running
it's
in
his
this
style.
better.
He definitely looks fast.
Well, he broke his ankle
but-
in this movie, like filming this part.
It's the
Oh yeah,
it's-
that was a big thing.
It was on the jump from the rooftop when he jumps on the rooftop and he sort of lands on his chest.
Yeah.
And I think that I read that they left the take in when he pulls himself up onto the roof and
Yes.
runs off. You can actually see him limping.
Yeah.
Because he's on a broken ankle there, and that's why they had to they had like a 9-week layoff because of that for him
8.
to recover. 8, yeah. But I really liked that sequence. I thought it was funny, and my favorite part was when he throws the chair out of the office window, and then he's like perched on the edge of the windowsill, and he's like psyching himself up to jump, and he looks back at the people in the office, and they're all looking at him like, what the fuck is going on? And then this one lady on the right hand side of the screen with gray hair nods, like it's very like just he's staring at him, and she's like, go ahead.
He's the hype beast.
And then we had a great that scene ends with him hanging from the bottom of an elevator, much like we saw in Skyfall, only this time he's hanging from the bottom of the elevator and the guy he's chasing just looks through the grates in the floor and sees him and points a gun at him, which I thought was really like a funny inversion of that stunt.
Yeah, that was great. And then he gets away and he flies away in a helicopter with Solomon. And then it's revealed.
Oh, did you guys see that it said Giddy Up? That was the helicopter's like code or whatever. It was like GDEY up.
Oh
Giddy
yeah,
up.
on the tail of the
Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
I
helicopter.
didn't see that, and I definitely wish I did.
Go back and do it. Hulu, baby.
Okay. I watched it on Amazon.
Yeah, this movie
you pay
was
for it?
quite available.
No, it's free.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's
Sorry.
ubiquitous. All right, let's get to the ending.
yeah,
The grand finale.
so they
go to Kashmir.
They go to Kashmir.
Let's giddy up ourselves.
Yeah, and they get there, and it's a medical, not facility. What's the word I'm looking for? A medical camp, and
Pop up.
yeah, a pop up, exactly.
Pop up.
Hospital pop-up.
Hospital pop up,
You should see the sneakers they have over there.
and they reveal that Ethan Hunt's ex-wife Julia, is there, and it's her medical camp, and that's the whole reason why Solomon put it there in the first place, because it's all revenge against Ethan. He wants to destroy everything he's ever loved.
What if Julia was like a little less poised, and as soon as she saw him, realized they were in mortal danger, and just saw him and goes, Ethan, ah!
If you're here, that means, oh no! And she just screams girlishly, and the guy's like, what the hell?
I gotta say, like, it's actually that would make more sense than what she does, which is like trying to figure out why he's there, or like, is this a social visitor? Are you looking me up? He's there with his team. You know this team. Like,
I didn't
it's time to
get
start
that.
panicking.
I totally disagree. I think as soon as she saw him, she was like, oh, you know, she was like, fuck.
Right.
But it was like, you're comes my husband. But she's like,
but she's trying
so
to hide
startled. She like really was like not expecting him and was like, oh my God, it's you. And then it was like, oh fuck, I know what this means. And then her husband walks up, so it's like, let's pretend we are doctors.
Yeah, she immediately covers for him, so she must know something is up. Otherwise, she would
Yeah.
just would have been like, "This is my ex-husband, Ethan."
I was like, wow.
I just
what
think
a
it would
nuanced
be
performance.
funnier if she started grabbing people and shaking them and screaming, "We're all gonna die!"
It's extremely helpful as a doctor to shake a patient and be like, we're gonna die. Bedside manner be damned.
what I think is great about the ending of this movie is that it's constantly taking a, like, in terms of raising tension, it's just taking a bad situation, like where it couldn't get any worse, and then making it worse. Like for that entire ending, it's like he's got to catch Lark on the helicopter, and he can't catch the right helicopter, so he catches the other one, but then he can't even catch that one, so he only gets onto the rope. But then just when he gets to the top of the rope, he falls all the way down to the bottom of the rope and almost falls off the helicopter. Then he's got to climb all the way back up the rope, and then the other helicopter has a gun on it, and like everything is terrible. And the last 15 minutes of this countdown takes like 20 something minutes.
Yeah.
It's just because so many bad things continually keep happening. And it's the same with like Ilsa and Benji trying to find the other bomb. Is like they find the bomb, they find the guy, they can't find the bomb, then they find a bunch of cases, then they find the guy, and then he gets the upper hand and has them both tied up. And it's just like, oh, they only have a couple minutes left and they're not even close to getting where they need to be. You know, like this is like, oh shit, just everyone's gonna die now.
But it all pays off because in the end we get the same ending as Cliffhanger, where a helicopter is dangling from the side of a mountain, and two guys are fighting.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know. I was a little annoyed by the end just because anytime they do that in the movie where it's like, okay, it's 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go, 15 minutes to go, and then you clearly get 20, 30 more minutes of movie while the clock is still counting from, 10 to 0. That always kind of like you have to do it right for me to not be thinking about that.
Allow me to Colin this for a second.
Yeah, please
the
do.
The reason that it's totally justified is because they aren't actually they aren't cutting in real time. They're cross-cutting between two different timelines. So in theory, this could have been a 30-minute sequence that takes place over a 15-minute period. We're only seeing parts of it from each of them. Now, I can't be totally
I'm pretty
Colin.
sure I'm pretty sure I've explained that before to you and you've been like, whatever.
I don't think that's ever happened, but I can't be totally Colin because also they do ellipse time within scenes where like Tom Cruise is climbing up part of the rope and then he's much farther up in the next shot. So it's not like it's just they're playing fast and loose at the time here, but it's fun. It works.
Yeah, it's a great ending. And then their fight scene is great. And what are you laughing at, Colin?
Your background.
Can we talk about Henry's face and how, first of all, Tom Cruise has had some work done. So it was like, sure, we can let Superman be in this movie, but I get to fuck his face up at the end. I'm the pretty one. Me! Or something. Because I was like, he went from Superman to like Two-Face. It was horrifying. Horrifying.
Also,
I liked it.
Tom
It
Cruise
totally made sense to me.
Tom Cruise looks super digitally altered in this
perfect.
movie. They definitely digitally smoothed out his cheeks and stuff in a lot of scenes.
See, I couldn't tell if they had digitally smoothed out his cheeks, which is probably what they did.
They definitely
or
did.
if
The
or if
answer
he's
is
like
both.
he's like actually smoothed out his cheeks. He's definitely got like the back of the neck thing where it's like the skin's really tight behind his ears. So like he's definitely had some work done. Not to mention, whatever he is, like 50-something-year-old man looks like that. That's absurd.
Yeah.
In fact, no 50-year-old man looks like a 35-year-old, and no 35-year-old man looks like Tom Cruise. So it's like almost getting to the uncanny valley part. We're not quite there yet, but we're headed there.
I mean, that's why they're shooting
I
the
do think
7th
there
and
might
8th
be
ones
some-
at the same time because he's just getting older and they just can't. They can't shoot the 8th one 5 years from now. He's gonna be.
I'll watch
in a
him do it
wheelchair.
forever, though. Like I'll watch him do it in a wheelchair. I would watch Tom Cruise with gray hair doing these things. They could
For
age him into
sure.
it.
Look at
I'd
Harrison
be totally
Ford.
down. Exactly.
I
will watch Harrison
gotta
Ford do
say-
everything forever.
Even Indy 5.
I've got to say,
Yes, and especially Indy.
It's coming.
I gotta say,
More Shia LaBeouf, please.
I love.
I
Shia
really
LaBeouf.
don't. Yeah, he's good. I really don't like Henry Cavill as Superman. The other stuff I've seen him do, I like, but I really, really don't like him as Superman.
I don't think anyone can do Superman properly because everyone thinks Superman is like, oh, hope and justice, and I'm we like this. It's
Isn't
every
he?
time they do.
I think
yes,
you-
but like
you should
They don't
audition.
do him. I should be Superman. Damn it!
Wee.
They make him so boring, is what I'm saying, and that.
But
like,
he's a boring character. He really is. Like,
Yeah.
you know, this is why everyone likes Batman better.
because he's tortured.
mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
Superman's
exactly.
home planet was blown up and destroyed. He's got.
And he's not
issues.
crying about it.
Can he cry? I don't think Kryptonians can
Superman has to be good, like the way like a good saltine cracker is good. Like a saltine cracker isn't really good. It doesn't stand out, but every once in a while you do know that a cracker is what you want to eat, you know?
No, a saltine
How
cracker
dare
works because
you.
you crumple it up and put it in soup, or you cover it in cheese or something. Like saltine crackers are never good. Like just having
Yeah.
a movie about
Lex
this is
Luthor
why
is like the
Superman's only
soup.
as good as what is going on around him, which we haven't had a good one of
Well,
those in a while. But
Also, I don't understand why DC won't pick up my fan fiction about Soup Man.
Soup Man.
Oh no.
Soup R Man.
That's where I draw the line. That's where I draw the line.
and for some reason that one worked for me. I don't know. Takes all kinds, I guess. Maybe because we were just talking about soup.
Yeah,
my favorite Superman is the one where he's drunk in what is it, Superman 2 or Superman 3? I can't even remember. The old
that's 3.
Christopher Reeves one.
When he goes human.
No,
impress
when
Lois?
when he's literally in a dive bar in Manhattan and he's got a 5 o'clock shadow in his Superman outfit, just drinking, just shooting whiskey.
I don't remember.
That must be the fourth
It's
one.
amazing. Yeah, maybe it is.
The quest for
Terrible
peace.
Superman movie, but a great Superman like moment.
Chandler works for Supergirl.
Yeah. Guess who's stronger? Supergirl. Just so you guys know. And not a
is it,
soup.
Kim?
She's
Who?
not a soup, okay? Not a soup.
Soup or girl. It's like a menu option.
Soup or girl.
Can't be both. They're mutually exclusive, okay?
Oh my god.
The
That
two
reminds
genders.
Me, that,
Yeah, I'll take
That
a clam
reminds me of, like, the
chowder
first,
and a blonde. Thanks.
that reminds me of the first sex joke I ever heard, actually. It's like a weird story. My parents were hanging out with other adults, and they told me to go into a room by myself. And then I just listened by the door while this guy told this joke. And he was talking about this old man. And he's like, so there's this old man, and this woman comes in, and she's wearing, a trench coat. And she comes in, and she's like, oh, I've got, like, what you need. I've got the super sex. And she opens up her, trench coat, and you can see everything. And the old man's like, I'll take the soup. And then they were like, yeah, they made me go in a little room for that. So I didn't hear
They made me
sexual
go in a
content.
little- That
Get in your little room, Colin.
the ramp up to that story was horrifying. Like, and then they made me go in another room, and I was like, "Why?" Like, I was so
'Cause it
scared
was-
for you for a
it was-
second. I was like, "Wait a second, are we unbottling some trauma?"
Get in your little
here?
Harry Potter
Please
room
stop.
under the stairs, Colin.
This is explaining a lot about
Sexually
Colin's
explicit
humor,
content.
All my jokes I heard from my little room.
Go play. It's adult time.
Oh, also, I want to point out the worst CGI in this entire film. There isn't a lot of it, but the worst CGI in this entire film is when the Hook is like wiggling on the shale as the helicopter's
Oh,
like
yeah.
coming
Oh
off
my
the cliff.
god!
Yeah, I
Yeah,
hate
And they like
that.
CGI and like little rocks crumbling.
They're
and
like,
it's like, why?
nobody's gonna
why?
notice. And I was
Yeah.
like, me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also hate
exactly.
that Solomon doesn't die. I'm a big, I want the villain to die triumphantly. In the same, I guess
Die hard.
Walker kind of filled that role. He died triumphantly. But,
Not really. He's
Well, maybe
just
they're bringing him
sucked.
back.
yeah, they're probably going to bring him back. I mean, they'd be stupid not to at this point.
Hook face.
He's like the Blofeld of this series.
Yeah. All right, let's rate this sucker. So Chandler, we have a rating system called we rate this movie from 1 to 10 Timothy Dolphins. There's a long explanation, which I will tell you now. So this podcast is called License to Watch, which is a play on License to Kill. Timothy Dalton is the star of License to Kill. We were going to have the rating system be on a scale from 1 to 10 Timothy Daltons. Harris flubbed and called it Timothy Dolphin once, and we thought that was hilarious, and so now it's stuck, and that's our rating system. So Timothy Dolphin.
Excellent.
Yep. So
If you don't like it, blow it out your hole.
And now we explain that every single podcast.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to be mean. It's just I was just trying to reference.
It was the Dolphins.
Just trying to reference dolphins.
Nobody, I guess nobody could see me comically drop my jaw.
I was scared. I thought that was real shock.
In actual non-offense. But the silence was probably deafening.
Colin, you go
I
first.
thought that was real shock. I thought the podcast was about to get take a really dark turn.
Hashtag me too. Maybe cut that out. That's not a joke. That's a bad joke. It's a real thing.
Oh fuck. So we're rating this movie on a scale of 1 to 10, but that doesn't mean that it's not, a 10 just for being a movie. It's not a 10 for me though. It's I rate it a 7 Timothy Dolphins because my favorite part was when he's on the motorcycle and he drives into the Champs-Élysées circle where the Arc de Triomphe is, the big circle, which is a massive traffic circle that I've seen before. And he goes in it backwards. And I was just very excited by that. And I was like, oh, no, he can't do it. He can't go backwards. That's the wrong way. He's going the wrong way. And I got very excited. And, I mean, that's just where I was at. And it's really long. And it makes the CIA woman look really stupid. And she doesn't have to look that stupid. And I figured out a bunch of the twists before they happen, which, I don't know, probably didn't happen to everyone. But that kind of made me, I don't know, I still liked a lot of them, but it is what it is. It's what I was talking about before, where there's, 3 main things they do, either the misdirection, the heist, or him bird dogging something. And I like it when one of the first 2 things is the third act, like the finishing act. And they kind of went in the other direction there, but I do like that they got his former wife involved in the story again, which was interesting. And I don't know, 7's pretty good, right? I just don't, I feel like they're gonna give it higher ratings, so we'll see what happens.
All right, 7. Harris?
Okay. All right. I am going to. I was really torn by this one. Because I looked back at my old ratings to try to see what, where this stands. And the truth is I didn't like this better than Rogue Nation. I think that it does a lot of things well, and it does a lot of things better than any other movie in the series. It looks great. We didn't even talk about the score. This is the first time I really noticed the score in this movie.
It's excellent.
Right from like when they introduce Walker and what's her name, Angela Bassett, and they've got like that percussive score, and they use the theme, the plot theme that they use. You
love when they use that.
Yeah, they use that a lot in this one in good moments. But also the original score for this movie, and this is a new composer that they had, and the original score for this movie, the new parts of it, were actually really effective too. I thought it looked great. I thought, unlike the last couple, which were mostly really well done, but occasionally would have still have a fight scene or an action sequence that was a little bit choppy in the editing. I thought this one everything was great. It was all put together really well. Love the cast. I really have no complaints. My only complaint is it didn't surprise me ever. So sort of like what Colin said, I saw a lot of the twists coming. I saw a lot of, I felt like they were rehashing a lot of things in other movies that they might have even done better in the other movies, or that at least in the other movies it was original. So they weren't really exceeding them. They were just sort of, right now it's become the formula, which is fine. I love the formula. It's still, an 8 for me, but it's not like, I gave the first one a 9, and I've realized after watching all these, the first one is still my favorite. And I gave that one a 9. I love Rogue Nation. I gave that one a 9. I think I overrated Ghost Protocol, and if we're allowed to, I would knock that down to an 8. And this one also is an 8, whereas Ghost Protocol I think should be an 8 because they hadn't quite figured out the formula yet. This one's an 8 because it's stuck too closely to the formula and didn't do enough that's interesting. Even all like the double crosses, with the people in the bureaucracy not believing in them, and with somebody on their team actually being the bad guy. We've seen all these things, and we've kind of seen it better, or at least first, in other movies. So I give it 8 Timothy Dolphins.
Chandler, our guest, what did you think?
I am gonna also give it a 7. And I feel like for me, I'm being a teeny bit generous because the emotion was there for me, even though it was a little bit in your face at times. I think my favorite part about action movies is the dynamic between the villain and your protagonist, and I feel like Solomon Lane was just much more interesting as a villain in this movie, as I previously said. And I think you guys are right. You see every twist and turn coming. But it's a gorgeous movie. I love the bathroom scene. I love seeing people get tired in fight sequences. And I loved Henry's mustache. That's a vibe. That's a total vibe. I'm so glad he didn't shave it, and I'm really glad that Justice League took the brunt of the CGI for that. I wish I liked the women in these movies more. We didn't even talk about Ilsa at all. God, she is so boring.
She was better in the last one. Sorry.
Yeah, she was better in Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
She was
I
really
don't know.
good
I feel like I just really like the bathroom scene. I feel like the 7 is the bathroom scene.
That is the one endearing thing about this movie.
Yeah, I think it's weird that we didn't talk about the part of the bathroom scene when all the French guys come in and like harass them for being in the same stall.
At first I was like, are they think they're like having a sexual encounter, but then I was like, do they think they're doing coke? Because it's like, or maybe both. I was like,
I
this
think
is
it's
interesting.
both.
Let's follow
Yeah.
these guys. What are they into?
They're definitely snorting coke off each other's dicks in there.
Yeah, right. I think that's what they implied. Yeah. You know
I
what
think
I
there should
wish
be a
is-
spin-off series that's just like the rest of that guy's night. Like they go out and party.
I'd watch that.
Yeah.
You know what I wish is, Ethan Hunt, they already established he's, super spy, the hero of the Mission Impossible movies. And they've already established, he speaks multiple language as a super spy, right? Why didn't he have some, comment to say from the other side of the stall that they all immediately understood and were like, oh, well, okay, see you later.
Yeah, like we're doing coke off some guy's dick. Leave us alone.
Yeah, in French. Yeah.
Like a good,
Right,
It's
yeah.
called a cover story, Be ready.
Yeah, exactly.
He was too upset that he had to babysit Mustache.
Right.
And that his mask
I just thought it'd be
machine was
cool if they
broken.
wrote something like that in. Yeah.
They didn't really.
All right,
what'd
Matt,
you say,
give us your Dolphins.
Did they do any mask work in this movie? Oh, just Benji.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Benji does too. Actually, he's the only
Wolf
guy who
Blitzer.
does any mask work. He's Wolf Blitzer, and he's
Oh, that's right. That's
Solomon
right.
Lane.
Yeah. All right. So I've been going back and forth this whole time trying to decide between two numbers that I'm gonna rate this movie. I mean, we did. It feels like we all hated it. The way we've been talking about it for the last 2 hours is, we've just been picking it apart. But I think we're just trying to pick it apart. We're trying to find things. But for all intents and purposes, this is pretty close to a perfect movie for me. I think it's, like I said in the beginning, it's sort of the culmination of all the things that have worked in all these movies, and they just, for me, it felt like they did everything correctly this time. And if this movie came out and was the first Mission Impossible movie, this would be like, by number 6, this would be like an incredible series. It's beautiful. It's shot really well. All the actors are good. I mean, I have my beef with I don't think Henry Cavill is that great either.
He's got kind of a Charlton Heston vibe. Like he feels like an actor from another era.
Yeah, a little bit.
Are I like that his teeth are crooked. I like that he didn't fix that. I'm like, oh, you have flaws? Okay.
Oh, they should redo Soylent Green.
I was watching this with Colleen, and she was like swooning over him the entire time, and she said he should be James Bond, and I was like, yeah, he's in contention to be James Bond, and she's like, yeah, they'd be stupid not to make him James Bond, and I was like, you're wrong.
No, I like him, but he doesn't have like charisma. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and
He's really good as The Witcher,
He might have
I
crooked
think.
teeth. He might have crooked teeth, but he doesn't have like that flawed, like that James Bond kind of the weakness of
Yeah.
the deep-seated
I thought
emotional
he's good-
scarring. I don't think he can pull
The
it off.
vulnerability.
I thought
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought he was good at The Witcher, but like The Witcher is like a caricature kind of character, and it's a character out of its time who's like a little corny for being out of his time. You know what I mean? And that's what he is to me. That's what y'all are saying. Like that's why he can't be James Bond. But I do
What
think
about
he's good as some
James
things,
Bond,
but not
with
as
Witcher
Superman.
hair.
Would watch. Did you guys like The Man from Uncle?
Yeah, Man from
I
Uncle
never saw
was
it.
good.
I heard it was good.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I thought he was great in that. And I just feel like I haven't seen that again from him.
Yeah, everyone said every time I talk about Henry Cavill, everyone who's seen that says that's the movie to watch to see like what he's capable of. So I haven't seen it. I've been meaning to, but there's only so many hours in a day, and I have to spend
I have
so
not
many
seen
of
it,
them
and I also
sitting around snacking.
I have not seen it, and I also have not seen Ants. You get it? Because Uncle Ant, but Ants.
Oh
like
my
the
God.
bug.
Matt, finish your analysis.
Yeah, so
Sorry.
I mean, I want to give this movie the highest scoring that I possibly can, which I already gave to Rogue Nation. So the question for me is, do I like this movie better or worse than Rogue Nation? And it's really hard for me to decide because I like them both a lot. They have a lot in common, but I think this movie does some things that I like better, maybe. I don't know. I can't decide. I think
It's an opinion thing, Matt. You could, there's
There
no
is
wrong
a wrong
answer.
answer.
I think the only way to do it fair is to just give this the same score. This is a 10.
Wait, were you contemplating giving it a higher score than a 10?
Yes.
Yeah, between a 10 and 11.
Okay. All right.
So this
Yeah.
ends our podcast about this movie. Thank you, Chandler, for being a part of this. But don't leave because we have some more content that we need to discuss. Since this is the end of our Mission Impossible franchise series, we have to announce what our next series is going to be. So, fanfare. I'm going to put in some fanfare right here. Yay.
Like clapping and stuff.
Yes. So the next
Can you
movie
get like a
series-
guy like who's like whoop whoop, and can you also get like a yeehaw maybe? I'm sorry.
God damn it, Colin.
Luckily, you can just put fanfare over all of
Yes,
this.
and I will. So, drum roll. The next series that we are going to cover on this show is, cue the theme song, the original 6 Star Trek films. Oh, snaps.
Boldly going.
Yeah, look out, nerds. Colin finally got his way.
Yep, we're going to boldly go where no podcast has ever podcasted before.
It's gonna be
I'm-
excruciating. I hope
I'm
you
not
like. I hope
sure-
you like overacting because there's a lot of it.
Yeah, I love overacting. Thank you, Harris. Yeah, I'm a little concerned about revealing how much I know about the world of the Trek, but
Why?
Because he
It's,
thinks that
it's
people
gonna
out there
happen.
in the world don't know he's a loser.
Do you know
he's
Klingon?
under a terrible misapprehension.
Do you know Klingon?
No, I don't know how to speak clean. I know a few.
Then you're fine,
phrases. I know,
dude. That's like the threshold.
no,
that
I
you've
don't know
gotta
how to
be
speak it.
careful
I
of.
know.
Apparently.
Wait, he knows some phrases though, so like he could ask for a bar in the bathroom if he was.
No,
strapped
I
on
can. I know
wherever
that
they're from.
you can like an insult you can call someone, and like the name of the sword thing, and
Hey, save this solid gold for the actual
and the salute.
episodes, Colin.
and the salute. I know the salute. Yeah, okay.
Colin.
So that's it. So Chandler, thank you for being our guest. Do you have anything that you want to plug? Anything you're working on? Where can people read your thoughts or pictures or What's going on?
Oh, goodness. I guess if people are super bored during this quarantine, you can follow me on Instagram at Smidiot or on Twitter, which I think is at Smidiot4. I'm not even sure of my own like social media handles, but I'm on hiatus now. So, gonna have to figure out something else to do now. That'll be fun. But thanks for having me. This has been a blast.
Yeah, they could just listen to this 2-hour show over and over if they want to hear you again.
There you go.
Yeah, so that's it. Thanks for being our guest. This is the end of Mission Impossible. We'll never talk about it again, guys, and this is sad.
Until the new movie comes out.
There's two
And then
movies coming
then
out.
we're all over.
Oh yeah,
it.
that's right. That's the glimmer of hope. All right, cool. Thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time with Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Yay. Yeehaw.